Be careful.
He's and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end.
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
And welcome to the Acement, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Acecito. What's with the finger point?
I'm feeling excited.
I guess so. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what, Jerry? Yeah.
I don't know, Scott. This beginning was a little...
All right, everybody.
All right.
For those of you tuning in, thank you so much. If you haven't tuned in before and you want to see us record live, join us Wednesday nights, 8:30. We go live on twitch.tv. Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling is the channel. A lot of great shows on that channel. Or follow us on Facebook at Behind the Funny, and you can see when we go live. And then, of course, those of you that are listening right now, we appreciate you so much. You guys have been awesome. If you have a chance and you haven't, subscribe.
Yes.
Why do you download every week? Just subscribe and get it.
It'll get it all automatically. Right. It's like a little present every week.
All of a sudden, it's like, boom, the new Behind the Funny's in.
Wow.
2, tell a friend. Help us grow. Tell a friend about us. We appreciate it. That's how you learned about your favorite podcast. That's how we did. So help us spread the word. And of course, please, please, please give us a review. 5 stars all at once.
Yes.
5-star
funny
review.
We have to say that.
Put a quick sentence if you have time. That really, really helps us out. That's the best way to help the podcast if you can.
Absolutely. And this week's bourbon date is a repeat because all of a sudden we went from having no bourbon in my house to 15 bottles.
And we stocked up.
Yes, we both
I love
did.
it.
But we figured because tonight's guest is a local guy, although he's not local now, but he was local.
He's almost as far away as you can get.
Almost, yes. Almost as far away as our listeners in Myanmar.
Yes,
but
in Phuket.
But hey, watch your mouth.
Sorry about that.
So because in honor of our guest tonight, we're drinking the Sons of Liberty Battle Cry. Again, this is a local Rhode Island whiskey, American single malt, and it's delicious. We had this a few weeks ago, and give them a
their website, I believe, is solspirits.com.
Yes.
And you can check out their whole line. And cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers, Clinkies from across the table.
And cheers to our guest tonight.
Yes, and our guest tonight is a funny comic who is a local Rhode Island guy, started in Rhode Island. What the hell was that? Something just beeped. He's a local Rhode Island guy and started comedy back in 1992. Worked his way through the clubs, actually owned a club for a while, and now has relocated to the great state of Hawaii. And so please welcome to the Behind the Funny podcast, Mr. Eric Hofer.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing, man?
We're doing good. Thanks so much for being on. You're looking very
tan,
Hawaiian and tan,
stereotypical Hawaiian shirt.
Exactly.
Thanks for having me. I got to ask you a quick question. How long have you guys been doing this podcast?
Believe it or not, 5 years.
5
years.
Yeah.
Really, I want to do a quick impression of one of my favorite comics ever introducing me, and it's Frank Santarelli. If I was Frank Santarelli plugging me on your show.
Sure, go ahead.
Behind the Funny podcast. Episode 237. Eric Hofer, because he's relevant.
That's something Frank would say.
The cadence is dead on.
You know what Frank
237? Really? Jeez.
Yeah. When Frank was on, he goes, "How long have you guys been doing this podcast?" We go, like a couple of years. He goes, it took you this fucking long to get me on here? How long are you going to wait?
And then he's bitching. He goes, do I get a meal break?
Yeah. We're actually,
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
we're actually working on getting him back on soon. We're
Hopefully with him and
John Fiore.
John Fiore.
Yeah, John Fiore from Sopranos. Jilly played Jilly on.
I remember when Comedy Central first came out, before I ever even did stand up, they used to have that the clips of comedians, and Santarelli used to be on. I didn't know him back then. I didn't even know who the hell he was, but he used to do that drunk guy with the straw.
Yeah.
And none of my friends knew what Comedy Central was, so I always tried to pass it off as my bit at the parties.
Of course you did. Yeah.
Right.
And then you tried to pass it on at the clubs, and Frank said, who the fuck is this kid doing my jokes?
Well, I think for a lot of people, that was kind of a way. I said that all the time. I used to memorize comedy albums and go tell my friends the jokes that weren't allowed to listen to them. And I swear to God, that taught me in a roundabout way timing, because I would learn their pauses. I would learn their cadence. I would learn how they would tell the joke. I wouldn't just repeat the words. I would try to tell it the same way Cosby did, or the same way that, Richard Pryor did, or one of those guys, so that they would get the joke the same way that I did.
Right.
So you were basically doing the same thing.
Well, mine was when I was, I don't know, maybe 8, my aunt gave me Steve Martin, Wild and Crazy Guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I had the arrow and the tuna fish. And I think for the 5th grade talent show, I did Steve Martin. I remember I would sit there with the record player and play it and then stop it and write it and then write it. And then that was my, 3rd grade talent show.
Yep. I think I did the same thing for a talent show. I did King Tut. I played the album and did the dance and lip synced it.
Yeah.
So you wore the
arrow, the ears,
fish sandwich.
I had the fish. I had the tuna and everything, man.
But that was how we learned about comedy and how you emulated those guys, and you would learn joke telling that way and everything. It's totally different nowadays. People just pop on their computer and watch videos, and they can immerse themselves in it so much more.
Right.
I don't know which one's better or worse. It was just a different time back then.
Sure. And then and the same aunt gave me, I think, I don't know, maybe I was.
That's a cool aunt. This is a cool aunt.
She gave me Richard Pryor Here and Now, and I was like, whoa, he can say motherfucker on stage? That's cool. I want to do that, man. Right? Wow, I want to say motherfucker on stage.
The first time you heard a comedian swear, because
for
the longest time, to me, comedians were the ones my father would let me watch, like Jonathan Winters.
On
TV. And then you hear one of these guys, like you said, the first time I heard that motherfucker, you're like, what?
Right. Or if you saw a comedian that you normally only saw on TV and movies that never swore, and then all of a sudden, like, I'll never forget when Buddy Hackett.
I was just going to say that same one.
Yeah.
First time you hear Buddy Hackett swear.
It's like, wait a minute, that's the guy from Herbie the Love Bug.
Yes.
That's that cute guy that, and all of a sudden he's talking, he's swearing and he's oh my God.
So Eric, for you, stand-up was kind of a thing for you, even when you were a young kid. You were a fan and a student of it.
Since it was I think it was my 3rd, it was like 1977. It was my birthday present from my cool aunt. I used to get $5 and a gift. And and then even in my teens, like, just not Burger King material. And I was like, is that bad or fucking good? And he's like, only you can decide, Eric. To this day, I don't know if it's bad or good, but I remember he said something like, maybe you want to consider something in comedy or something like that.
That's hilarious.
So then I was like, all right, I'm going to try stand-up, but I didn't try it. I chickened out. I signed up when I was like 18.
Yeah.
And everyone showed up and I chickened out. I didn't even show up.
Really?
Where was it?
I want to say it was, there was a place called the Brass Rail in
Seekonk. Yeah, that was Frank Santos's club.
Yeah, and I signed up, and like I remember everyone went. I had a bunch of people go, and I think I was 18, and I just remember driving by going, "Fuck that, man!
Wow.
No way!"
Wow! And you had a bunch of people that were waiting for you.
Yeah, and there was no cell phone, so I didn't hear it till the next day.
Yeah, right.
Right.
There was no texting. Where are you? Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Brass Rail. It wasn't Periwinkle.
Probably. But you said when you sent me your bio, you said your first time on stage was at Periwinkle's. The first time you actually got up on stage.
You know what? Yeah. So I remember the dates. in September of 1992, this movie came out called Mr. Saturday Night with Billy Crystal.
Billy
Have you ever
Crystal.
seen that?
Yeah.
And I remember going by myself to that movie. I smoked a big joint, and I just remember watching that. And there was a scene where Billy Crystal's telling that girl that he married how awesome it is to do stand-up, man. And like, when you got him, and you're binging and banging. And I literally called the same day to Periwinkle's, and I booked, and that was September. And in November 11th, 92, I went to Periwinkle's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what's funny? And did you say, was that first time on stage with Ed Regine?
So I went to the show. I had never been there. It was packed. Remember, that room was huge, right?
Yeah.
It was like packed. I had like 20 people with me. And, I worked on my 5 minutes for 2 months. And I'm sure half of it was plagiarized and half of it wasn't. But I remember I went on and fucking killed. Like, and in my head while I'm on stage killing, I'm remembering Billy Crystal saying that, right?
How you felt, right? How it made him feel.
And I was like, whoa, man. And I remember I got off stage and they were clapping and yelling and people were high-fiving me and I was like, whoa, fuck, man. And my father even came from New Jersey to see me.
Really?
Yeah, like that's how big it was for me because I had wanted to do it since I was a kid. And then I remember I walked in the back and Frank O'Donnell.
Yep.
Frank O'Donnell. And I walked up to him and I go, so what'd you think? He goes, well, you did bring a lot of people. And I was like, motherfucker.
Listen, we all need Frank to bring us down a little bit.
But I had only been down for 35 seconds off the fucking stage, man. You could have waited till the next day.
Yeah, right. Well, you asked him. You shouldn't have asked.
Exactly, which problem. I didn't know anything. But I remember the next comic after me was Ed the Machine Regine. I had never even heard of Ed Regine. And I remember Ed Regine fucking tanked and ate it. And I remember Ed Regine going, I guess you guys want Eric again. And everybody fucking clapping and screaming. And I was like, yeah. And he walked off stage.
Really?
We've talked about it, Ed and I, several times over the years, man. Yeah. Wow. So now my fucking ego is like this, right? I'm the best fucking thing ever, man.
Yeah, because Eddie was a headliner at that point.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you bring him up because we had him on a couple of weeks ago.
I listened,
to talk about his book. And he brought up Mr. Saturday Night because he actually worked with David Paymer.
That's right. I heard
gave him a really, really good, like props. And we were like, well, David Paymer, why does that name sound familiar? And then he goes, yeah, you ever seen Mr. Saturday Night? He's the guy that played Billy Crystal's brother. And I'm like, oh, that's right. That guy was like a huge character actor in the 90s.
Yeah. And I remember
2000s.
I remember Ed Regine talking to him after the show. And he's like, you did really good. I'm like, it's my first time. And I remember he said something to me that always stuck with me. It's the first real piece of comedy advice I ever got, besides Frank O'Donnell telling me I brought a lot. But I don't want to mention that too many times. But Ed Regine, I remember Ed Regine said to me, listen, Eric, self-deprecation will ingratiate the audience. Just remember that. Because I had some bits where I talked about myself and I was a fat kid, and he said, self-deprecation will ingratiate the audience. Right. And that's the first piece of comedy advice I ever got in my life.
Yep. Yeah. And it does, if you use self-deprecation, it definitely works. I think.
Well, yeah, because then it felt like natural just to talk about my really large penis after that,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean,
and you still haven't stopped talking about it.
Exactly.
But no, I love this because we've had this before where people talk about, oh, that first time on stage, I brought a bunch of people and it went great and it was explosive. So how many sets after that before you realize, okay, when I don't have all my friends and people with me, this is not quite as easy as I thought it was.
It's the worst fucking story ever.
And that's why we want to open
ever.
Hey, that's why we want to open that wound, my friend.
So right after that,
this is
Jay
Leno
my favorite story. Jay Leno had just taken over the Tonight Show, right?
Yeah.
And again, you're going back 30 years. So, but I remember they had the Tonight Show Comedy Challenge at Apex in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Remember that?
Yes.
Holy
because
shit.
I was on that show as well. Do you know who else was on that show?
I'm going to say it, so don't say it because it's part of the story, man.
Yeah,
so I remember I went there,
say it.
And the judges were this news reporter from Channel 10. Then there was Frank Capriano, the sports guy, and Charlie Hall was a judge. and I went up, and it was awful.
In between the washing machines.
Yes, in the washing machine.
It wasn't even it was literally people walking by. Remember this came up. Someone
Was
else,
this the Apex in Providence?
Yeah, no, in
Pawtucket.
Pawtucket.
In Pawtucket.
Right off the highway.
Right off the highway.
Right off the bend at exit 27.
Someone brought this show up a couple of months ago, and I had erased it from my memory that I was even there.
I don't remember who brought it up.
Until we started talking about it, and I go, oh my God, I was on that show. We were literally, there was no stage. You were just in between the fucking washing machine aisle, telling jokes while people were shopping for appliances.
How did that not make the top 12 list of places? Washing
Price
machines.
check in the refrigerator department. Price check in the refrigerator department.
Hey,
by the way, how about these eye polyps?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I remember.
Go ahead.
No, I remember. I was like, again, I walked in with just the biggest fucking ego. I was already a jerk off to my first wife, man. I was like, I'm going to be a fucking big comic here, man. And
I'm playing Apex.
I made it. I made it to the next round, and that round was a really kick-ass place. At the Warwick Mall.
Yes,
was round 2
in the food court.
In the fucking food court at Warwick Mall. But so, anyways, that's where I met Charlie Hall, and he passed me.
Yep. Even
in the second show. And I made it to the top 10 at Comedy Connection, which I had never been to Comedy Connection in East Providence. And it's a funny story. When my grandmother passed away a few years ago, she had kept a scrapbook of all the minor successes I've had in life. And there was an article from the Providence Journal from that Apex show, and it said, Hofer goes up and does a bit. I think the bit was some families inherit good looks, some families inherit money. In my family, we inherit eye polyps. and the article said no one laughed, but the next guy didn't get many laughs either. Seth MacFarlane was the next act.
Exactly.
Yes. It was Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane from RISD.
Yes. You remember he used to go to the open mics at Comedy Connection.
Do you know the funny thing is I do remember it, but I never put 2 and 2 together because he was like a little skinny guy.
He was a little scrawny kid wearing rugby shirts, and he used to sit on the fucking bar stool going, I hope I crush tonight. I hope I crush tonight. I hope I crush tonight. Yes.
It's so crazy that I think because of the experience at Apex, I blocked it out of my mind. And it wasn't until someone, I think Parada might have posted the article from the Journal a couple of months ago or maybe a year ago, and it had the picture of Seth MacFarlane doing his set.
And they put a picture of Seth.
Holy shit, I remember that kid, but I didn't realize it was the Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah. Wow. Were you in the top 10 at Comedy Connection? Parada was.
I don't remember if I made it to Comedy Connection because it was, like I said, it was so horrible. I probably had a really bad set at Apex.
Well, Parada had a tape years ago. I mean, I'd love to see it now, but so the top 10, I only remember me and Parada. I think Galvin might have been in it, but I think there was one guy that was a Ross Perot impersonator, which of course Ross Perot was, big at the
time. Yeah,
and,
right.
You know, he was. So anyways, they fucking so I get there, and I got my new clothes, and it's fucking packed, and there's the judges and Charlie Hall in the front, and they put the list up, and I didn't know anything about a list, and I'm first, and I'm like, yeah, I get to go first. All right. Sweet, man, I'm going first. And again, I was being a dickhead to my wife at the time, and I was young. I was married really young, but I'm already telling everybody I wasn't working at Burger King anymore. I had moved up to KFC at that point.
Yeah. You were KFC material.
Yeah. So I just remember I went up, and you fucking talk about eating it, man. It's the first time. And I was like, these jokes worked at Apex and Warwick Mall.
Yeah. How are they not working at a legitimate comedy
And it was
club?
so bad. I mean, it was so fucking bad. I remember I left. I snuck out the back door and got in my car and left my wife and all my people there. And I was like,
oh my God, man. Dude, you have a fucking history of just leaving people,
deserting people that come out to see him.
I did. I left and went home.
Remind me never to ask him for a ride to a gig.
Eric,
where'd you go?
I did. I left
Uber.
But that's how. So that's when that was like my start in stand up, and that's where I met Eddie and John.
Yep. Eddie Regine. Oh no, Eddie Regine.
Eddie Galvin.
Oh, Eddie Galvin.
Ed the Machine Regine.
Ed the Machine Regine.
And Eddie.
I think he might have even closed that show, like as the headliner, while they tallied the votes. I think I got I remember I got something in the mail showing my standing, and out of 10 people, I was like 87th.
That's an ego boost.
It was fucking so bad, man.
So
And
let
I
me
know-
ask you, how long before you got back up on stage after that experience?
So again, I remember Charlie Hall coming up to me at the break and going, listen, just keep going. Get on stage as often as you can. He goes, you're funny. You'll do
Yeah.
fine. Just keep fucking going. Charlie Hall said that to me.
Yeah.
And it was a while. It was a couple months. And then they had the Comedy Connection open mic. And I went there one night just as an audience member. And I was watching the guys and I was like, man, but I was like, I'm going to do this again. And
who's this fucking Ace Aceto?
you remember? No. Do you remember? I remember. Do you remember these guys, the Beatles?
Yeah. Chris and KJ.
Are they still around?
No, Chris and JP. Chris. No, in fact, the last time I saw JP,
The Beatles?
the Beatles.
The Beatles. They were
comedy
they were.
duo.
They used to do the open mic. I don't think they ever did a spot.
No,
but
they used to go up to Maine for Bob Marley and open up for
Really?
Bob Marley for a couple of times. They were really, really good.
Not
Yeah.
familiar with them.
Chris would play guitar. He was a skinny guy. He would play guitar and he was the straight man. And JP was like heavy and he was like the crazy, the crazy guy. Chris
Well-
Souza and JP McCormick.
well, their best bit ever, which I still use because I know they're not around anymore, was not on stage, just at parties and shit, where they used to do our impersonation of us getting abducted by aliens, and they'd driving in the car and he'd go,
You remember
hey,
that?
what time is it? And the other one would go, it's 6:30. And then the other one would go, hey, what time is it? And the other one would go, it's 11:30. And then the other one would go, does your ass hurt?
Yeah. I remember that joke.
The Beatles.
Yeah, watch. This asshole keeps asking me to go out to Hawaii to play his club. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna do my act, and they're gonna go, hey, that's Eric's material.
Yeah. Why are you doing all Eric's
Why you doing
jokes?
Eric's jokes.
Speaking of that in Rhode Island, how's the weather, guys?
Right now it was
Today was awesome.
Yeah, and it was 55. So
Yeah, hold
that's
on. I got to
awesome.
turn my air conditioner up. I'm
Yeah,
sweating.
yeah,
Hold on.
asshole.
Oh,
I knew
what
he
a
was gonna
prick.
do that. What a prick. I knew that
Sorry
was
about
set up. Yeah, what's
Just
the
tell me if
weather?
that's too loud.
What's the weather like here? There, just beautiful all the time, isn't it?
Ah, it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
85 and sunny all year, man.
Jeez.
It rains occasionally,
So-
but we dance.
So, yeah, we
Let's-
we had hard-ons because it was 55 degrees
I
and
know.
sunny today. Everybody's outside like, oh my
Walking their-
God,
yeah.
I've been waiting all year for this weather.
Walking their dogs,
Walking their
Right.
dogs. You see people
Yeah.
cleaning their golf clubs,
pushing
going,
kids in
this is
strollers.
fantastic.
Yeah.
right?
So what? So you did it those couple of times, and then
So-
you started getting paid work.
Well,
How
no,
long
no.
before you got
So
paid work.
I went to Comedy Connection. They used to have the open mic. I think it was Wednesday night.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
because
think
back
they used to
then,
compete with Periwinkles for.
wasn't it back then
Only a
Wednesday to
short time.
Sunday
Yeah.
at the
It was
Connection?
Wednesday to Sunday.
Yeah.
But they used to, you could get on, Dana was the manager, and every 6 weeks you could get 3 minutes.
Yep.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I remember my first time going back. Hold on, I got to turn my air conditioner up.
Pass my battle plan.
Sorry, it's hot, man. But I remember I was married, and my wife at the time, who just, I want to do comedy, right? That's all I want to do. I don't want to get a job as a maintenance guy at the Providence fucking Journal like she wanted me to, right?
Right.
I'm like, no, I'm going to do stand up, which led to my divorce. But I remember leaving
was
for
the
the
first
show.
one.
My first divorce, yeah. Well,
Yes.
I've been married 3 times. All those women had issues, guys.
Yeah. You.
Yeah.
You
But
were
I
the
remember
issue.
leaving.
They had
and
one
I,
issue in common.
exactly. I do know it was me, but I remember leaving and her going, why don't you get some new material before you eat it like you did at Periwinkle's?
Oh,
I mean, at the Comedy Connection, I was like, motherfucker, man.
that hurt worse than anything.
fucking hurt.
That was
So
anyways, that was Exhibit A in the court.
Yeah.
She said
So
this to me.
That
I'd
was
like
his
to-
grounds for filing.
I'd like to submit
Exactly.
this as Exhibit A.
But I remember I used to go. So every Wednesday, you could only get on once every 6 weeks, I think it was,
Right. Yeah.
on the open mic. And then McFarlane, I remember Bill Burr used to come into the open mic,
Yep.
John and Eddie. And so I started hanging out when I split up with her. Every night I would just go sit at the Comedy Connection bar
Yep.
and just watch the shows, like all the, and then Dana would let me in for free, and I would just be, I'm just going to sit in the corner.
Yeah.
And then one night someone didn't show up to host, and she's like, you think you can host? And that's how I got on, like, for the
And
first
that's how
time
you
hosting
started.
a Comedy Connection. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because did you live in East Providence at the time?
I did. I lived like a mile from there.
Right. So it was easy. I mean, and that's kind of how it was before, back then, it was like Periwinkle's was. It was a hangout for comics. You could go there any given night and hang there. It was kind of like a family, I mean.
Well, again, you're right. We used to, my favorite thing was to go watch other comics.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I would love watching other comics like perform,
Right.
It was like a thing. Like I just
you'd
wanted to
sit
sit there
in the
and
back
watch
at the
comedy,
bar.
man.
Well,
Yeah.
the late show Friday seemed to be that hangout show.
Right.
Because the guys would be doing their fundraisers or whatever shows for, early Saturday, early Friday, excuse me. And we would be doing the early show Friday. Then we're up there on stage for the late show Friday, and you'd see the guys coming in that back door at the Connection.
Yeah.
And hanging out in the back. And the next thing you know, they're coming over the green room or you're hanging out with them afterwards.
Right.
And there's like 12, 13, 14 comics
and
all
then
just kind of hanging out
and then
having a
after
good time.
and then after the show we'd all go to the 133
right
club
up the street.
Right.
Yeah.
have a few drinks
Right.
and kind of hang out and talk about what shows we were on. I did a show in New Bedford. I did a show in
It was
Fall River.
it was either that or just busting each other's balls
Or
until
busting
1 o'clock.
balls.
No, you remember. So that's where, again, I met John Peralta and he had started doing shows. And it's like, I remember, we didn't have phones and shit, but I had a calendar book. And I remember it was 93. I worked for a paint store as a driver.
Yep.
And I remember opening my book to my friend going, look at all these dates I got, man. I'm playing at the Spaghetti Warehouse. And then Thursday I'm at fucking Hooters. And, I'm doing Tom's Shithouse Bar on Friday. And John's going to book me at a gym on Saturday.
But you know what? That's the thing back then. And I've shown Scott, I still have some of my old books from 91, 92.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Friday,
every week.
$25 to $50. You worked every night you wanted to work. There was so much work. There was so many rooms. On a Thursday night, there were probably 25 rooms throughout.
I was going to say, you could
Rhode
do more
Island
than one
and
show on a
Southeastern
night.
Mass.
Yep.
Yeah, you could
do more than
double
one
up.
show.
Yeah.
I used to double up Parada gigs.
Yeah.
John would call me. He goes, I'm going to have you do this one and then run over and do this one for me. And
Dude, do you
do it all the time.
Do you know this Saturday, I actually am doubling up, and it's the first time I've doubled up in I don't even know how many years.
Yeah, you don't get opportunities like
it was
that anymore.
crazy. And it was only because Frank O'Donnell hired me for a fundraiser. And then
He's still around?
yeah, Frank is still
Well, he
around.
probably brings a lot of
Billy-
people too. So,
Yeah.
He doesn't do a lot of stand up.
No, not a lot. He's gotten more into theater and acting and stuff. But he would do he's got one that he's got like me. I mean, this is a stacked show. It's him, me, Roman Pierce, and Bill Campbell.
That's a good show.
I'm like, you don't need me to close. Can I go up in the beginning? Because Billy Simus had a gig up in Gloucester, Rhode Island to close. So I'm going to double up. But it's the first time I've doubled up in years,
Right.
But that was common. We used to do that all the time.
Yeah. So again, I used to hang out at the Comedy Connection. And then that one night she asked me to host. I was like, I can do it. And I fucking did it. And it went well. And Dana was like, I want to say she was a mentor to me, but she was just fucking brutally honest, man. And if Dana liked you, she liked you. And if she didn't fucking like it. And I remember, I think I said to her once, do you like me or not like me?
Oh, yeah.
Because
She was
even
like,
if she liked you, there were times that you thought you questioned whether or not she liked you.
Well, I remember she goes, you're just annoying. And I go, why am I? She goes, because you fucking pace back and forth on the stage and it drives me fucking crazy. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, you just pace back and forth. You just stand still and talking to the fucking microphone. I was like, sweet Jesus. All right. So that's when I kind of was conscious of not pacing back and forth.
Trying
on the
not to
stage.
pace.
Very early on, man.
Yep.
You
But
know,
that's the thing. Dana was tough love. I mean, we've had her on the podcast. She was tough love.
Oh, yeah.
She, I'll
what
never
episode was she,
forget.
when was she on?
Oh, she was on a couple
Like
of years
one?
ago. No. She was on a
236 before me?
couple of years ago.
No, she was like around 150, 151.
Yeah, somewhere
right
in the
there.
middle. But the thing with her was, I'll never forget. I wish I could remember who the host was. But she came in the room one time. I was headlining. I can't remember who was featuring and hosting. And she literally 2 minutes before showtime blasts the curtain open and is like, okay, you're going to do 5 minutes up front, 2 minutes in between. Don't fucking go over. You'll never work here again.
Yeah.
You're going to do 25 to 30. Ace, you close it out with 45, feel out the crowd. And then she walks out. And I look at the guy that's hosting. It's his first time there. And the guy's shitting his pants. I go, Dana, I went outside. I go, Dana, calm the fuck down. Like that guy is not going to be funny. He's not going to be funny on stage. He's scared shitless right now that he's going to go 4 seconds over his 3 fucking minutes you gave him.
Right. All he's going to do is watch a clock.
Exactly.
That's all he's going to do.
You know what? I used to always go long because I had no concept of fucking timing. I just remember Dana, you could see her silhouette and sometimes she'd want you to go long and she'd be like,
she'd be okay.
Other times she'd be like,
yeah, right. Get off the stage.
Well, remember for a while, it was getting booked by Santagate. Joey Santagate.
Yes.
Was booking everything.
He was booking Boston and Rhode Island. Yes.
Yeah. So my thing was just hang out at the club. There's going to be guys that get flat tires and there's going to be guys. And then she started giving me, okay, you could do the guest spot, 5 minutes. You know,
it was worth it because you got that stage time.
See,
especially when you first started.
I started in Boston with Santagate, and he booked me to host in Providence. When he was booking both of the clubs.
Yeah.
Well, I got the best Santagate story in fucking history.
All right.
There's a lot of Santagate stories.
I got the greatest Santagate story, and I'm probably jumping ahead a few years. I don't even remember what year it was. It was that foggy, but you remember we used to, Ace, and I know you remember this because Bill Blumenreich used to hire a bus to drive us to the Christmas party at Faneuil Hall. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Oh, I remember those parties.
And we would all take the bus from Comedy Connection and all the waitresses up to Faneuil Hall. Ace, I remember once we didn't take the bus. Do you remember we slept at a certain female comedian's house, you and I?
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I won't say the name, but it reminds with Jerry Bellin Donaldi.
Who has also been on the show.
Way to cover that up. That was
perfect. I loved her, man. I loved her. She was just the greatest person to me.
She just moved to Florida not long ago. She's booking stuff down in Florida.
I did it when I didn't do comedy for 5 years.
Did sleep at Mary Ellen.
I didn't do comedy for a while, but
he didn't say Mary Ellen.
Oh, I
said Jerry Gallon.
Jerry Bellin.
Right.
No, it was Jerry Donaldi.
I just loved her. I remember this is going back when I first got divorced from my first wife. I was so sad. And I remember she brought me to her friend's house on Christmas Eve, and just come with me. And we hung out on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And she was a good person. I liked her, but
she's awesome. She's like my older sister. Much older.
So my Joey story, and again, I'm probably jumping ahead a few years from where we were. Right. So we take the bus, me and Galvin, right? And I don't know. I don't remember when it was, but you'll probably be able to tell me.
Didn't we have to leave early because Galvin started a fight with someone?
Well, Galvin, again, what year? There was one year where he disappeared. And 4 weeks later, he showed up. And we were like, where the fuck you been, man? He was just gone, man. And the bus sat there for overtime for 2 hours. And we just got to leave without the fucking guy, man.
Right.
And it was 8 degrees below zero. But so we go up on the bus. And again, I don't remember the year. When I tell the story, you'll probably be able to tell me what year it was. But so I had never met Santagate. It was a phone call on my answer machine. Eric, call me. I got some dates for you. That was Joey, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
So we go up there.
Only about 10 times faster than that.
Yeah. I meet Joey and I just happen to have a spare 8-ball on me.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and so
you're the reason why Joey was like that.
So me and Joey and Eddie stopped banging lines. Anyways, me and Eddie end up at fucking his house all night at the Christmas party, just blowing lines all night. All of a sudden, I'm his buddy, man. I'm his buddy.
I can imagine.
I'm his buddy.
All I had to do to get more work was blow lines with
I'm not
Santagate.
I'm not kidding, man. After that, me and Galvin we were driving to bachelor parties, making a nickel a piece. We were getting everything, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I was opening for everybody, honestly. Yeah. And it was probably, I don't know, the late 90s, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds about right.
98, maybe. And literally I'm in Chicopee and I'm opening for Jeff Dunham and I'm fucking doing all these shows in Boston and I'm opening for big names at the Connection. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, Joey, I got 3 more 8-balls if you got anything else for me. I got an endless supply if this is all it took. But right. And then so he books me, and we're doing all these gigs. And then one day, this is how it ended with him. And this is maybe it was 2000 when he quit, after the incident.
He didn't quit.
Well, I know. I'm going to get to that, but he books me to open for Greg Proops. Remember that show?
Yeah. Whose line is it anyway? Yeah.
So I had just started dating this new girl. She was from Boston. I got the whole family there. I show up. This is silk shirt days. The AC's not working at Faneuil Hall.
Yeah.
And I show up and I go in the green room. Greg Proops is there. And there was a guy, Gary Goldman, there.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Gary Goldman?
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I think I've heard of him.
And he goes, "What are you doing here?" I go, Joey booked me to open for Greg. And he goes, "Well, Bill booked me to open for Greg." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Anyways, so I'm like, "All right, well, it turned out I'll host, right?" So I'll host. So I go on, I host. Again, it's 100 degrees in the place. You couldn't buy a fucking laugh. Man.
You and Joey were wearing shark skin fucking
I wasn't
suits.
doing coke at that time. That was a year off I took.
Oh,
then.
okay.
But I was still getting gigs. I always brought him a little treat when I saw him. Keep the friendship going, little friendship treat. I wanted to keep that bond between us.
Yeah, right.
So I go up and do my set, and it was okay. But again, it was literally the AC wasn't working. You know how big that place was. It was 400
Yeah, it was
of
like 400
fucking
seats.
sweat.
Yeah.
And Gallman walks on stage and goes, "That's your fucking act?" And everybody laughs. And I was like, motherfucker, man.
Yep.
So now I'm pissed off. So I can't let it go. Now I got to do the show the next day, on Saturday night.
Yep.
And I talked about him all day to my girlfriend at the time. And I'm like, I'm going to tell that motherfucker off tonight. I called Joey. I'm like, fuck him. Who the fuck's he? Oh, he's kind of good. And when I walked in that night, Gallman came up to me and he goes, I was really a dickhead to you last night. I'm sorry about that. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Sorry. I'm like, oh, okay. I was going to tell you off, but I won't.
Right.
Said, cool. And so we start the show and go up, and the motherfucker went up and did it again.
He did the same thing.
Same fucking thing, man. And
crushed you right up.
Crushed the crowd.
That's
Ingratiated the crowd right away at my
because
expense.
It worked. Yeah, of course.
It worked. And he knew still no AC.
Instead of self-deprecation, it was Eric deprecation.
Yep.
It worked.
Anyway, so again, I was doing all these big shows, and then and I had done some big shows. You know who used to take me around? Frank Santos.
Yeah, Frank Santos.
Oh, yeah. When I first started in the middle 90s, Frank Santos was like would take me to his shows and have me open
crowds. And those crowds were tough. Like that taught you how to do crowd work.
Because they did not want to see stand-up. And they were there to see Santos.
Right. And how to adjust your act to a different type of crowd. I love the fact that Frank did the same thing for me.
Yeah.
Taking me around because it was it was a challenge.
Well, I learned my biggest way I learned to do a show, and when you're eating it to keep it going, was at Comedy Connection in East Providence. Do you remember that they used to have the open mic, and it kind of died out later in years? But if there was 7 people, they would do the show. That was the minimum ticket requirement.
Was the number. Yes. Yeah,
7 people, and it paid $25.
Yep.
And I remember, no matter what, if there was 7, maybe it was 8. If there was 8 tickets sold, we were doing the show. Yep. So what I used to do is I used to literally just walk down and sit at the table with the microphone. Because usually, if there was 8 people, they were together.
They'd put them together, yeah.
And I'd just sit and talk to them, and I'd buy everyone a shot with my $25.
Yeah.
And then they'd listen to me because I'm buying the whole fucking club a shot, even though it's only 8 people. Shots were what, $1.50 back then?
Right, back then.
So that's how I really learned how to, like, all right, when there's 8, 10 people and you're doing the fucking show, like, it's on.
How do I
do it? Right. But anyways, after the Sandagate thing, then there was the incident, with the wise guys, and all of a sudden I wasn't getting shit.
Yeah.
Things changed for a lot of people after that incident, man. That shut things down.
Well,
quickly.
see, and I'm trying to think, was John Hostler before or after Sandagate?
After Sandagate was Ryan.
Ryan. Okay.
Comic.
Yeah, Ryan.
So that had to be before.
So Hostler.
I didn't know him, but I know when Sandagate left, I was saving like $300 a month on coke. And I wasn't even
all
doing
of a sudden,
it really
all of a sudden, you were making
man.
money in comedy.
I wasn't even really doing it that much at the time.
I started a 401k.
Right?
No, but it was well known that if you dropped a little present on Joey, you'd get plenty of dates.
You'd get work. Yeah,
you'd get plenty of dates.
I didn't do that.
That was I didn't either. So.
I still got work from him, but it was always last minute.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. You got to turn the AC up.
Turn the fucking AC up again.
That's all right.
Man, it's warm up in here.
Yeah,
you poor bastard.
Yeah, we feel bad. So you started doing comedy. You're touring around. You're working with people. What year was it that the club? Because we, not all of our listeners know, especially if they're out of state. There was a time where like Comedy Connection in East Providence was around for a very long time. It was a good 20 years. Because Dana was there like 18 and I think it was open for 2 or 3 years before that Pete was the manager.
Yeah.
And Dana was the assistant. And then all of a sudden,
then after Dana, there was Debbie. And then there was Irene.
Right.
Irene for a while. And
then Renee.
Then Renee. That's
Renee
right.
Russo.
Renee Russo.
Debbie
Russo's, yeah.
Debbie Rigo was big for me. Debbie was big for me.
Yeah,
like,
she was very nice.
I love Debbie.
Yeah.
She's such a sweetheart, and she's been through hell in her life.
Yeah.
But she was a sweetheart. But Debbie was there when Dana then opened up Stitches, and then there was that whole thing. And I felt bad for Debbie because Debbie was being told by Bloomerreich, no, if people work for them, then they
I remember that.
us, and you had to kind of choose. And
I chose Comedy Connection.
See, I chose
a lot of people had to make that choice.
Well, at first I chose Stitches, and then I told Bill, I said, I want to talk to you then. And I'll never forget. I went up to Boston. I met with Bill, and for some reason, poor Frankie Ahern had to sit in the meeting with me.
Rest in peace, Frank.
Rest in peace. Frankie was he was the manager of the Boston Club.
Frank Ahern, nice,
down to earth guy, just laid back. I loved Frank.
Good guy.
But for some reason, Bloomerreich wanted a witness in the room for, I guess. And I told him, I said, well, listen, you've been paying me this for this many years. She's paying me more. If you can come up to that, then I will stay loyal to you because I've been loyal to you for all these years. And he ended up coming up on the money. But it was one of the most uncomfortable meetings, and I felt bad for Frank because Frank was sitting there going, "Why the fuck am I in here? I mean, it's the Boston Club. This has nothing to do with me, you know."
You know what? And you got to go to fucking Boston to negotiate to get $100 instead of $75 from Bill Blumenreich, right?
Well, it was a little bit more than that, but I actually, Dana can attest to this, because I went back to the Comedy Connection. I mean, Dana didn't talk to me for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I went to her and I said, Dana, I'm sorry, but they came up on the money, and that is the established club in the state. And it's nothing against you or the owners here, but and ultimately it ended up being the right decision because Stitches didn't last very long. Well, not because of Dana's.
Was it really the right decision? Because how's it
because it was
the
giant pole in the middle of the club.
No.
Yeah.
You know what it was?
Yeah.
No,
the big support beam that was right in front of the stage.
No, listen, honestly, the reason why that club didn't work had nothing to do with Dana.
No, it wasn't.
Everything to do with the owner of that club.
Absolutely.
Because he opened it up as a comedy club. It was Stitch's Comedy Cafe.
And he didn't commit to being a comedy club.
Commit because then all of a sudden it was the Stitch's Comedy Cafe and Bistro. And he hired a chef to bring in some high-end food. He was trying to do a high-end restaurant.
And he also brought in jazz groups.
And then it was
jazz.
And then Friday night was urban night, and Saturday night was Latino night. And it turned into a dance club at 10:30 at night. And it was just trying to be too many things all at once. Instead of committing to the comedy club.
Now, I actually switched and I went over there because they were, and obviously your negotiations were your business, but at the time we were making like $50 to feature at the Connection, but I wasn't featuring yet. So I went to Debbie and I'm like, are you guys going to bump me up? And she goes, well, I got a lot of features right now, so I don't think I have room for you. I said, all right, well, they're offering me $125 to go feature over there, 3 weekends a year guaranteed.
It's a business decision. And Bobby Collins said, it's show business.
Yes. Show business.
Exactly.
And I said, if you can give me 2 weekends a year to feature here, I'm not even going to ask for the money. Just give me 2 weekends a year. And she said, I can't guarantee that. So I made the switch. But the last weekend I did there, they booked me to open for a Rodney Dangerfield impersonator.
I so remember that, man.
I remember
who
that.
only looked like Rodney Dangerfield.
He didn't even
I remember
sound
they
like him.
sucked, right?
Didn't
remember
sound like him and couldn't remember the jokes.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. In the middle of this guy's set, it was just me and him. Someone in the audience yelled back, "Bring back the first guy." It was so bad. And I was okay back then. I wasn't great, but I was way better than this guy. Because it was like literally he should have just been a mannequin standing there so people could take pictures with him. They were so desperate at that point to just bring people in.
I didn't really have a choice to pick a side in that because Debbie, that's when I was again after that whole shit with Sandy, and again, I'm probably messing up my dates, but I was
you're not that
always hanging out at Comedy Connection.
Yeah,
and Debbie was putting me on, and then
Well, and you were a local guy. You lived in East Providence. It was right down the street. It made sense.
And I love the Comedy Connection. My first paid weekend of hosting was at the Connection in East Providence.
Yeah.
And that place when it was full was phenomenal.
Oh, it was awesome.
It was fucking great, man. It's like I remember when I was so again, Debbie's like, again, my dates are confusing, but Debbie's the one who started Middle and Me, and occasionally, when a headliner would cancel, would put me on,
Yep.
And what's up?
No, so I was going to say, so all that happened, and then all of a sudden, Stitches closes, and then a couple of years later, there's a big fucking sign on the side of the Comedy Connection, for sale or lease. And I know for a fact Charlie Hall looked into it. A couple of other people looked into it. But then all of a sudden, local East Providence kid buys the Comedy Connection.
Yeah, we're skipping years ahead. But
I mean, it's up to you if you want to skip that far ahead or if you had other stuff that you wanted to talk about.
No.
I kind of want to.
That happened because of Frank Santos. I was still, I was still friends, and I knew Blumenright. I mean, I met Blumenright a bunch of times. He used to call me the guy with the suit. The guy in the suit. He used to call me the Frank.
Suit,
and Frank introduced me to Bill, so I kind of knew Bill. But I remember I was having lunch with Frank Santos, and he was telling me that the club's going to close.
Yep.
And I was working in and out of the auto industry. I think I had started my own temp thing, the temp finance company or whatever. And then I saw the sign and I was like, man, I can't believe, and they were closing. They were actually really going to close because he was just opening the Wilbur Theater.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was closing Faneuil Hall.
Yeah.
And it had just gone to shit at the Comedy Connection in East Providence. Again, I mean, you do a Friday night 8:00 show and there'd be 40 people in the fucking crowd.
Right.
You can't pack 250 seats. So that's how that
Actually, at that point, you're the only club in Rhode Island. Periwinkle's was long closed at that point. Stitches
long closed.
So,
I guess it might have been like a lull in comedy. I mean, again, I was living in Boston. I never was really accepted in the Boston scene. I did the gigs. I did a bunch of Dick Doherty gigs. Dick was always good to me. I love Dick.
Yeah.
Not Dick Doherty. I don't love Dick.
I'm isolating that clip there.
We do.
I love Dick.
We do a best of. We do a best of episode at the end of the year, and we usually pull out one-liners. So we're definitely going to pull out you saying
Eric
I love
Hofer.
Dick.
I love Dick Doherty. I mean, he's always been good to me.
I can cut off the Doherty on that.
We're actually we've been wanting to get him on for a while.
Is he still alive?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's fully retired. He had cancer. He beat cancer.
Yeah.
It took a lot out of him. It took a real lot out of him. But he fully retired after that. And him and Kathy literally
traveled around,
sold their house, bought an RV, and live on the road now. They spend their summers on the Cape at this, campground where she works there for the summer, and they camp there for the summer, and then they take.
I feel like I know that. Yeah.
For the rest of the year.
We should go out there.
Yeah,
in the summer.
Over the summer, we should go out there. But Dick was one of those guys. He was very, very good to me. Kathy, I always got along with and everything. And
I might have even met Scott. I feel like I might have even met you at a Dick Doherty gig.
Very possible. Very possible.
Could have been.
Yeah.
I worked a lot for Dick early in my career.
Oh, really? You worked for Dick? You should keep that one for the end of the year.
I definitely will.
I'm Scott Higgins. I'll work for Dick.
Ace does no editing, so that won't.
Oh yeah, no.
I know. I've been listening to a lot of them. You guys claim you're going to edit, but you know.
And we don't. No,
but you know, Dick and Kathy put me on a lot of shows and gave me a lot of opportunities. So they're awesome.
So get back to the you were having lunch with Frank Santos.
So again,
I thought it was going to close.
Yep. Yeah, Frank. I knew early on. I knew it was going to close. Again, Frank Santos has always just been one of those guys that I was friends with. When I was really young, I used to think it was kind of like maybe he's just grooming me to try to touch me or something. But he was just a good guy,
No, he
was just always good to me. I remember doing Chicopee. Remember Chicopee Comedy Connection?
Oh yeah.
And opening for Frank Santos with
the
500 people eating Chinese food, wanting to see the hypnotist, and him putting me on and going, just go out there. But so he told me that, and then it just became an idea, like, oh shit, I might be able to do this, man. And again, I was married for my third time, and we made it happen, man. And it was like fucking crazy that all of a sudden I was going to make this happen, and it was going to be, to me it was just like fucking huge. I mean, that was my hometown. I grew up 2 miles from there.
Right. Oh man, right. I remember the first year you bought it. You had I want to say it was John Parada and Eddie Galvin on for New Year's Eve, and you would put in the big screen that came down and all that, and I had a gig somewhere else, but I remember stopping in, and I got there right before midnight, and I was like, wow, this place is packed. This is great to see this. Yeah, Stephanie Peters.
It was our opening night, New Year's Eve.
Yeah, New Year's Eve, right. And I just remember going in and going, wow, this is awesome. This looks like the heyday. Like, because I was around playing those weekends where Friday night first show, there were 40 people, like where there was that lull. And I think it's just because, nothing against Bill, but Bill wasn't really putting anything into the club either. He wasn't doing anything for advertising or, trying to get people there.
Well, he was out. His mind was focused on the Wilbur Theater, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. He was trying to transition over to buy in the Wilbur. So I get it. And from a business perspective, I get it. But because you were a local guy putting stuff into it and, really plugging it, it was a different vibe then. It was revitalized.
Yeah.
And now how long did you have it?
I got to tell you, honestly, the dates are foggy for my life back then because, and again, it's hard to explain, but, and again, I made a lot of fucking mistakes. I don't hold back,
Well, you know what? You've always owned up to your mistakes.
I've been down and out so many times in life, bro. But, if you want to know what really happened, I fucked it up. Mm-hmm. I was literally, and Eddie Galvin will, if you ever get him on, will attest to this. I was living like a fucking rock star, man.
Right.
Like it became, and again, it was my hometown.
Yep.
And I mean, I hadn't done fucking coke in years, man.
Yeah.
And I remember a guy I knew from when I was younger. Hey, you want to do a bump? Sure. And all of a sudden, I'm literally not fucking kidding, living like a rock star. I'm like staying at the Westin every night. Right. At my place at the Westin.
Right, because you were officially living in Boston with your wife.
Right. I had my house in Boston.
Right.
And I'm partying like a fucking rock star. And I'm not just kidding. I mean, it was like fucking rock star life, bro. This is what really happened to me. Okay.
You let every one of your vices
fucking just come out. We're having fucking stripper parties in the cellar after hours, and I'm banging chicks 2 and 3 at a time, and I'm fucking blowing lines, and I'm partying and fucking like living a fucking like rock star life, bro. And I got all these friends, and everybody loves me, and I'll take care of your fucking tab. I'll take care of your tab. Yeah, bring all your lesbian friends. I love having 20 lesbians at my shows, and just fucking literally rock star. And I remember this, and I have a picture of me and Eddie in a fucking suite at the Westin, in the fucking Westin robes. I think I was getting a fucking pedicure, and we're sitting in the room with a fucking cheese tray. I'm not fucking kidding, bro. Like, this is just how fucking
debauched the charcuterie board.
And I'm sitting there getting a pedicure, and Eddie's sitting there, and he's smoking a bone, and we got these 2 chicks, and I'm just like, man, this is fucking awesome, man. Not knowing that I wasn't paying attention to the other shit, and I wasn't paying attention to my personal life. And it didn't matter to me at the time because I was just so fucking absorbed in it, man. And people were telling me, man, people were telling me. In fact, there's a certain person, I remember saying something to me that rhymes with Dory Dalesford, but I won't say his name.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention specific names. Who was always, was there for me. I mean, he was there for me. I
Of course,
no fucking fault in him. I would have done the same fucking thing he did.
Right. Right.
So again, I just made
And
some really
At the time, he was doing a lot for that club for you.
Well, he was doing all the promotions for him, and he was running the website and the ticket thing. And so again, I got so fucking, this is the honest truth, guys. I got so fucking absorbed in that lifestyle. And it's like, remember this too. I'm doing the fucking, it's my club. I can go on any fucking time I want, man.
I remember.
I can perform anytime I want.
Dude,
yeah, I know,
Ace.
Ace.
You saying
Ace,
that many
I know
times.
you're headlining, but the middle act just fucking ate it. I'm going to go up and do a quick 17.
Yeah.
You know, and
I
I'll do a
remember
quick
him doing it.
25
Oh, yeah.
for you.
Hey, it's my club.
Well,
And
again,
I'm like, go ahead, man. It's your club. What are you going to do? You know?
So again, the real story is that I just got so fucking wrapped up in the success and just, I remember going to fucking Foxwoods with just a stack of fucking cash, you know, with 4 of the big bouncers around me, and I'm in my suit, and I just think I'm king fucking shit, man. And I got 4 guys in black walking me through the casino, and I'm in my suit, and I'm going to sit at a fucking, $200 blackjack table, a $300 blackjack table, like the fucking king of all shit, man.
Right.
And not paying attention to anything or thinking about anyone's feelings or anybody else's shit, man.
You were too swept
Just that
up.
I'm the fucking king, man.
Yeah, too swept up at that point.
Way swept up, bro. Like just debauchery. I won't even get into on this. Just shit that you wouldn't fucking believe, man.
Right.
And again, it was just like, holy shit, man. Like, wow. I'm getting a BJ up in the office where Dana used to fucking write me my check.
Yeah, right.
So it was just fucking crazy. And I made bad decisions and I didn't fucking pay attention. And before I know it, poof, my whole life, man.
Yeah.
My whole fucking life, man. I'm everything, man.
Business,
everything.
marriage, everything. Right.
Everything.
Well, I will say this, as you were spiraling out of control, you booked me to open up for some of my favorite people like John Panette, Dom Herrera. I mean, I worked with some great people while you were in charge of that club. So, I certainly had fun.
But so let me ask you, because, and this is one of the things that I've always respected about you, though, Eric, is you own up to it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You
when I sent him,
don't shy away from answering these questions.
When I sent him the message about being on the podcast, I said, hey, listen, people kind of, there's people locally that want to know what the fuck happened, because we might have been a little bit on the inside to know what was going on, but there were a lot of people that weren't, and they were just like, all of a sudden the club's just closed. What happened?
Yeah.
And didn't know. But I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I respect the fact that you fucking own up to it.
I do. I do.
And probably, you understand how many people you hurt by what happened.
Sure.
How long before you realized how many people you hurt?
So,
great question.
Still to this day, realizing and think back, and sometimes drive in my car and think about it and cry. Funny story. We had, if you Google this, a lot of you guys might not know this, but maybe 4 years ago, we woke up one morning here in Hawaii, and you get the emergency alerts on your phone.
Yeah, for a tsunami
or whatever, and all of a sudden I'm in a parking lot and everybody's phone's pinging and it says fucking incoming ballistic missile. This is
I remember that.
Oh, that's right.
Not fucking kidding.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking kidding. And I'm literally driving. I'm driving down the beach and I'm trying to call people. I was trying to call someone. I won't say who.
Yeah.
Like this is it. I'm fucking dead. There's a fucking incoming ballistic missile, man. And the fucking call won't go out. Right. And I'm crying. I'm not kidding. I'm fucking crying driving down the beach. Like, fuck, there's a fucking nuclear missile coming to Hawaii. Like, his shit was real, man.
Yeah.
Like, his shit was real. Like, people were freaking out and they're telling you shelter in place. And I'm like, fuck, you going to shelter, man?
I'm in my car. Right.
I'm driving down the beach. And the call wouldn't go through. And then about 30 minutes later, it came on that it was a false alarm. And I was like, thank fucking God.
Jeez.
Thank God.
Right.
But so to answer your question, that I still realize I still realize that there's people I hurt, and I know that. And my biggest problem I've always had in life is I've always been about me. That's why I never had kids, because I've always been selfish and greedy. And I always just thought about myself. And I think that's probably my biggest flaw, is that I try not to be these days.
Yeah.
Am I still? Yeah. You know, but I'm
you've grown a little bit.
I think I've matured or had to mature. So I think about, and again, you know, I can go back through my whole life and look at every time and things I've done that I've fucked up or hurt somebody, all just for my own, and never gave a fuck.
Yeah.
Just never gave a fuck. It just didn't matter. I only cared about me. But so, yeah, I do realize how many people I've hurt in life. Sure, man. You know, and it's always like, what can you do?
Right.
You know, there's just some things you just, sorry doesn't mean shit. You know, and I've had, you know, it's like after the club, it's like, I remember my phone not fucking ringing. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. I had all these friends a few days ago. I had so many fucking friends a few days ago. There were guys, Parada, Bowden. I think I kept in touch with you, Ace.
Yep.
You know.
Well, you know what?
Ben
Probably
Haig.
because we weren't the guys that were latchers on for the coke and the partying and the other stuff.
Well, that's again. So I look back.
Right.
It's like, you know, I look at it like, you know, I look back and think of, you know, the 3 best friends I've always had in life, no matter what I was doing or what I was going to do or where I was at, are the same 3 best friends I have today, man.
That you still
that
have.
never fucking judged me, no matter what I did, would tell me that's fucked up, but still were always my friends. But yeah, my phone went dead for a long time, man. And I didn't do shit for 5 years. I didn't do anything.
Really?
I did nothing for 5 years. I fucking sulked, man. I got split up. I did nothing. I did no comedy. I went back to the car business, you know, rebounded, of course.
Yeah.
And then I actually got back. What's up?
I was just going to say, how long? So was it 5 years before you moved to?
It was 4 years. Well, so what happened was I saw, again, I didn't do shit. I saw Stephanie Peters in the paper one day, was playing a Dick Doherty gig in Waltham, Mass. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go see Stephanie. I kept in touch with Stephanie briefly, but not a lot, man.
Yeah.
You know, she sent me texts. Again, Stephanie and I have always had a good relationship. And I went and saw Stephanie at the show, and it was a Dick Doherty show, and he put me on. I had done stand-up for, you know, I think 4, maybe almost 5 years. Yeah. And I got put on, and it was fucking great, man. I loved it. And then Stephanie said, oh, I'm doing, what was that club at the Lincoln Casino?
Catch a Rising Star.
Was it Catch a Rising Star? She said, hey, I'm doing a show Saturday night at Catch a Rising Star with that girl that we talked about in Boston, Gary Ellen DiDillo.
You could say Mary Ellen.
No, Mary Ellen.
That's all right. So we love Mary Ellen.
So Stephanie said, I can get you on that show. Just come down, man. Come down, man. So now I'm like, you know, you do that. It's like doing it for the first time. You get back on stage. It's like, fuck, man, there it is, man. You know, guys.
Right.
Like, there's that fucking, I mean, like, even with COVID,
it's a high.
when you start doing shows again, it's like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
This is what I've been missing.
Yeah.
So I went to Catch a Rising Star, and I got a fucking awesome spot and just fucking crushed. And actually, that Mary Ellen filmed it. And I was like, this is my comeback tape. And she fucking fucked the tape up. But that's a separate story, man.
Why doesn't that surprise me? Because Mary Ellen can't work it.
She can't work her own cell phone.
For 6 months after that, I'm like, let me get that tape. And then she finally admitted that the tape was fucked up. Anyway, so Stephanie got
I'm going to call her. Hey, I'm going to call her tomorrow and say, hey, Eric Hofer was saying you have a tape of him at Catch a Rising Star.
And I need to get it.
Fucked up because she had a great set
to him.
Oh, so anyways, so then Stephanie says, do you remember, I don't even know if it's still there because it's 6-7 years ago, but it was Carolee's Comedy Corner down in Cape Cod.
Oh, she still does. She still does stuff.
I think she still does it. I've never worked there, but I'm friends with her on Facebook. But yeah.
So Stephanie says, hey, I'm doing this other show next Friday. Why don't you come down?
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it, I'll come down, man. I'm in Boston by myself. I drove down. Chris Tabb was the host. And just fucking, again, just went on and just fucking, you know, crushed, just all coming back like, all right, I got to do fucking stand-up again. Again, Stephanie, hey, I'm doing the show. You ever, I'm sure you heard of it, Bananas Comedy Club.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Poughkeepsie.
Jersey. Like, yeah, no, not Poughkeepsie. It's
not
in
Poughkeepsie
Holbrook. Holbrook?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
You know, it's a Holiday Inn, but it's one of the most famous comedy clubs there is. They're only there Thursday through Sunday, right? The guy wheels in his banana. So I go there, and now I'm like, the place is huge and it's packed, and now I'm playing at fucking Bananas, and I'm fucking crushing. And I'm like, fuck, I got to get back to fucking
I'm
stand-up,
back.
man.
Yeah.
And it was all because of Stephanie. Like, I just went and saw her one night, and she got me back in it, man.
Yeah.
And, there's been times, guys, where, and I don't know if this happened to you guys are a little more grounded throughout life with kids and stuff than I am, but, like, I got a pilot back. I don't know if you remember that. I was way back.
I do remember that. I didn't remember it until you sent it to me, but tell us about it.
I played at Comedy Connection in East Providence. Again, maybe I don't even remember the date, 2001, 2002. And Janice called me the next day and goes, there was this guy at the show tonight. He wants your phone number, something about a TV show. Can I give him your number? I'm like, really? Of course.
Yeah.
They have to ask.
Yeah.
I'm working as a finance manager at a fucking car dealership. I'm like, yeah, you can give him my number. This guy. It was this guy. And he's like, hey, I got this great idea for a pilot. And it was right around the time Mattel had that show Insomniac. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So he's like, it's this show. It's called Punch Drunk, and it's just you go to bars and clubs and
I remember that.
People tell you jokes and you talk to people. And he's like, I got the best outfit and I had a plaid tuxedo and I think I got paid $5,000. And they rented out this. It was a bar when you go over the Gano Street Bridge on the right. I think not the Gano Street Bridge. Over there on the right, there was this
JG Golfs.
JG Golfs.
It's no longer there, but
it was JG Golfs. So they rent the place out. Yeah, they rent the place out, and there's all these fucking cameras, and everybody's there, and we're filming. Then we go to New York, and I'm in a limo, and we're filming on the streets of New York, and I'm like, this is it, man. I'm at work acting like a dickhead. I'm like,
again, you own
I'm
it.
Like,
oh, you own
again,
it.
I'm a dickhead. I'm fucking like, I got my own pilot, guys. You know what? I'll spin your Scott. You're right. I'll spin your fucking finance deal when I feel like spinning.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell your customer he can wait, and if he wants, I'll sign his fucking back of his credit application for him.
Exactly. It'll be worth money someday.
Again, just me. Like, this is it, man. And I'll never fucking forget. It didn't get picked up.
Of course.
And I remember you remember Pride Cars guy, Al, right?
Oh yeah.
Pride Cars.
Pride Cars.
Remember, I was the spokesman for him.
Absolutely.
I remember Al telling me, you're taking 2 weeks off. I don't give a fuck what TV show you're doing. You're getting fired or taking 2 weeks off right now. I was like, well, I'll just take 2 weeks off and go film my TV show, Al. And I remember almost at the end of 2 weeks calling him, can I come meet with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't work out the way I thought it would.
Al, I'll wash the cars for you if you want.
Yeah. So again, just another one of those times where I'm fucking selfish and bigger than everybody, But then, anyways, so doing that with Stephanie, who really got me fucking back into it, just made my head go. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this, man. I'm going to LA. And
all right.
And because I had a friend that lived in Beverly Hills. He'd been telling me forever to come out.
Yeah.
I knew people out there, and I literally sold all my shit. I packed my shit and I fucking went to LA, man.
Wow.
And I went to LA.
And how long were you there?
It's funny. I was back in the car business after the club, and I went out there, and there was an ad. I remember telling my old boss, like, yeah, I'm leaving. He goes, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I'm going to try to get a job at Beverly Hills Lexus. That sounds like a really good gig.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds really prestigious. I'm not kidding.
Sure.
My first day there, they run an ad for a finance director from Beverly Hills Lexus.
Are you
Not fucking kidding
me?
I walk in.
Serendipity.
I walk in and get hired on the spot. Literally on the spot, the guy fucking hires me. When can you start? I'm like, I can start tomorrow. He's like, all right, go take a drug test. And of course, I was clean at that. I was clean.
Oh, all right.
I literally started 3 days later. So again, I started doing stand-up around there because, I knew those guys. I could go to the Comedy Store and get on. Right. I knew Pauly Shore. I knew those guys in LA, so I could get gigs. Jay Moore.
Yep.
There was another kid that used to be on that show with Gulman. That was Dane Cook's show.
The Torgasm?
Torgasm.
Was it Bobby?
Jay. Jay.
Oh, Jay.
The host.
Yeah, the host. I forget his name. Yeah.
I forget his last name, but I knew him. And again, I had his number in my phone. So he used to do this big show in Hollywood. So I'm there the same day. This is a great story. The same day I get hired, the vice president of Beverly Hills Lexus calls me. He goes, would you mind being the sales director? Because the sales director wants to be the finance director. And I was like, how's the money? He goes, it's a little more, Okay, I'll take that. Sure.
Holy shit.
So now I'm living in LA.
Yep. Great
I'm
job.
I got a fucking awesome job living in Beverly Hills. I'm working at a dealership selling 400 to 800 cars a month. I'm literally living in
and they're
Beverly
high-end
Hills.
cars.
I'm
They're
wearing
not-
the fucking skinny little LA suit, skinny little LA tie, and I'm
Right.
out at night fucking working in comedy clubs, man. And I stopped partying again.
Shit.
Now I'm in the Hollywood fucking hills,
Right.
banging lines again.
You're in the worst possible place to relapse
but again,
in, right?
Again, to me, in my head, I'm living the rock star life that I
Right.
in my head
This
I
is
should
what-
be fucking living.
I deserve this life.
This is the life I should be living, like I was
Wow.
fucking, 6 years ago, man. This is the
Right.
life. Only I'm in the Hollywood Hills at fucking mansions.
Yeah, right.
I remember, again. I've never been an addict. I've always knew when enough was enough.
Yeah, you
And
could recognize when you
remember-
needed to stop.
Yeah, and I remember this day. I was in the Hollywood Hills at a friend's house. We were partying, and there were 6 chicks there with us. It was just me and him and 6 chicks. I'm like, I'm definitely banging 2 of them, man. Definitely banging 2 of these chicks.
Odds are.
Yeah.
And he's all fucked up, and he's standing on his balcony on the top of the railing, and there's a tree about 15 feet away. And he goes, I can make that.
Oh my God.
And it's like 4 a.m. I'm like, don't fucking do it. And
Yeah.
I won't say his name, but it rhymes with Dobby. Robbie is his name.
Okay.
And I'm like, don't.
Is he famous? Like,
Anyways, he goes, I can make it. And I'm
what
like,
does his last name rhyme with?
I can't tell you
I get
that.
it.
But he goes, I can
I
make
get
it.
it.
And I'm like, don't fucking do it. And he fucking jumps and misses.
Oh my God.
Smash, blood. All 6 chicks. Welp, see you later.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Well-
I'm out. I don't need to be in the middle of a crime scene.
And I'm fucking staring down at him. And I'm like, I'm going to call the ambulance and I'm going to leave, man.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to leave. And I fucking called and he's like, I'm fine. And he got up. He ended up taking himself to the emergency room. And I was like, yeah, here we go again, man. Here we go
Right.
again. And that's when I
Right.
said to myself, anyway, so I walked.
Jeez.
Coincidentally, I had been doing some shows and this guy I knew said, hey, I got some shows out in Maui. Do you want to go out to Maui and do some shows out? It's like for a month.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay. And I went to the VP of Beverly Hills Lexus and I said, hey, I need to take a month off or quit because I'm going to go out to Maui and do some shows. And I'm not fucking kidding, guys. You talk about just the universe. He goes, that's so funny because we own 13 brands out in Maui and I'm going out there for a couple months. Do you want to come with me?
Are you fucking,
Not fucking
kidding
kidding.
me?
Not
Holy
kidding, dude.
Shit, Eric.
Not kidding. We own 13. This company, Beverly Hills Lexus, owns 13 brands here in Maui. They have 2
In Maui.
locations, 13 brands.
Wow.
And he's like, you can come out and help me and do your gigs. I was like, okay. And he goes, can you leave Friday? I'm like, absolutely.
I can leave now. Yeah.
I'm not fucking kidding.
Here's my bag.
Wow.
So, and you hear people say, well, things happen for a reason, Literally, I was fucking gone Friday. This was November of September of 16.
Yep.
So I'd been in Beverly Hills maybe 7-8 months.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, yeah, I can leave Friday. And we came out here. And I remember getting off the plane. I didn't even own shorts. I
Yeah.
had my fucking suit and tie, driving down the highway, swerving around people and beeping and honking. Get the fuck out of my way. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
not everybody drives like that.
Yeah. 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 Right.
Right.
They're
And then,
so laid back out there, right?
yeah. And then I did the gigs. And then like within a few weeks, I was like, fuck, I don't want to leave here, man. And I remember the owner's assistant said, we're going to the mall, man. You got to lose the fucking suits.
Yeah.
And took me and we bought some Hawaiian shirts and that's it, man. I never fucking left, guys.
And so are you still working for them?
No.
Oh, all right.
I retired from the auto industry in August 2020, man. I had enough of that. So.
Yep. But is that what you did? You transferred out there?
Well, so I did
and worked those
I did
brands?
all the shows and then
Yeah.
they made a position as sales director for me here.
Here. Wow.
And I was like, I'm not going back to LA. So you're either losing me or I'm staying. And so, so I became the sales director here in Maui
Wow.
of 13 brands.
And then retired in 2020.
I just
And
got out
so-
of the auto industry. So
And so what are you doing now? Just comedy?
Well, we haven't done shit for 2 years because because of COVID. We were the worst state, man. I mean, we were shut down. You couldn't even walk on the beach during COVID here.
Really?
You could. I'm sorry. You could walk on the beach or swim. You couldn't sit on the beach. And, we were closed. There was no tourism. All the hotels were closed. No people coming in. No flight attendants to hang out with.
No, you couldn't do shows or anything like that.
No, we couldn't do anything. In fact, we've only done even. It's just starting to open up. The biggest shows I've done is, Gas comes out here every Valentine's Day.
Yep.
And we do a big show with Craig. But besides that, all the small places, just no one was coming out.
No one's coming out. Right.
No. So now it's just starting to get back, But you couldn't even sit on the beach in a chair. If you came to Hawaii in the beginning, you had to quarantine for 14 days. You couldn't go out.
Yeah.
Unless you were fishing, which is a fucked up Hawaiian law. So if you
really,
I'm not fucking kidding. So I didn't even have a fishing pole. I borrowed one from my friend. He gave me the pole and like a piece of PVC pipe. And I thought that was to beat the fish, but no, the pole goes in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know that now.
I was just gonna say.
He is doing your shit, Ace.
I know, no shit. You are doing my fucking jokes.
No, that's true story. Is that one of your bits?
Yeah, it is. One of my bits. I talk about how I say, rednecks. I was driving through this redneck town. You ever seen the people that they buy a brand new pickup truck, and it's brand new, nothing wrong with it. Drive it off the dealer's lot, rip off the front bumper, replace it with this big wooden log with the white plastic PVC pipe sticking up.
Yeah, I know that bit of yours.
Yeah. And that's basically, the guy's like, oh, that's those when you goes fishing, you got somewhere to put your poles.
Yeah, how about the thing, Jethro? Isn't that?
Yeah, I'm like,
there you go.
There you go.
Isn't
I'm like,
Jethro?
hey, Jethro, how about the back of the fucking truck? You got an 8-foot bed back there. I think you can fit a couple of fishing poles in a tackle box.
Yeah, so Hawaii has these weird laws. So I didn't even have a hook on the fishing pole, but no one would fuck with you. So if you seriously, I didn't even have a hook. I don't know.
As long as you had a pole,
as long as you had the pole to stand. And we were sitting on the beaches, just us by ourselves, man.
With the pole and the thing.
As long as you had the pole. So you can't camp on the beach here in Hawaii. Like all beaches in Hawaii are public land. Doesn't matter if you have a fucking mansion on the beach. I can go on your beach, right?
Really?
So so you can't camp on the beach unless you're fishing.
Unless you have the pole.
So you have all these homeless people that live on the beach. They just have a fishing pole and they're fine.
God,
Hawaii's got some really fucked up laws. We're still wearing masks here. We got till the 25th of March before the mask mandate goes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in New England, people are still wearing masks. I work in medical sales, so
here you have
doctors' offices you have to. But
but
they just relaxed masks in supermarkets and stuff like that over the past couple.
There's
of weeks.
a couple open mics on the beach that he does on a regular basis.
Right.
No, but you know what? The outside shows are the greatest, man.
Yeah.
So the comedy scene here is, again,
what is it like? Because
I was just going to ask that. Yeah.
When you sent me that message a couple of years ago before COVID, you were like, dude, I want to get you out here. When can you come out? But I'm like, I'm in Rhode Island. How many weeks am I going to need to take off from work to be able to come out and make it worth my while to go to Hawaii? I would love to come out and see you, man.
So when the first year in fact, Ben Haig came out my first year here. Ben, guys know Ben Haig, right?
Yeah.
Just Ben's Ben, right? I love Ben, man.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's doing stand-up anymore, but
no, I think he's chartering private jets in Florida.
Yeah. So the guy that owns Beverly Hills Lexington, the dealerships here, his friends, a lot of people live here. Mick Fleetwood lives here. Steven Tyler lives here.
Right.
Owen Wilson lives here.
Roseanne
Billy
Barr.
Nelson lives here. Roseanne Barr lives on the other island, but
okay.
So I made a deal with Fleetwoods. Mick Fleetwood owns a big club here.
Really?
Right? It's called Fleetwood's on the waterfront. And it's I've seen Mick Fleetwood play with every musician you can think of.
Whoever comes into town, he just plays. Yeah.
So I partnered with we made a deal and we were going to open a comedy club at Fleetwood's. It was done. Ben Haig's picture Ben was going to be my first comic. Yeah. It was already on the fucking website, man. It was a done deal. All we were going to do is wait and sign everything. They literally had the website made and everything because they had a separate club. So Ben's booked out here. He's already got his ticket. He was going to stay with me at my place. His girlfriend was coming with him. They fire the fucking GM that made the deal. And the guy calls me and goes, yeah, we're not doing this. We're known for music. Not fucking kidding.
It sucks.
Not kidding. And there's no comedy clubs here. So
really?
Ben's set to come out. I'm like, you know what, Ben, just come out. I'm going to make sure you get paid. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'll pay you myself.
Right.
Come on out. We'll put something together. And I had a guy here, a local guy, that ended up putting Ben at this fucking pizza place.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we've all played at pizza places. It doesn't matter.
Is that
this
a parada gig?
It was not a parada. It should have fucking been a parada. It was that bad.
Hey,
Anyway, so we made sure
pizzas.
Ben was whole, but Ben came out, and then Ben and I did a big show in Honolulu together.
Yep.
At a big venue that his girlfriend at the time had actually put together. So it worked out. But yeah, the comedy scenes, it's weird. I remember my first night going to an open mic here, and they were charging people, and you walked in, and it was at this restaurant, and there's a table of 15 in front of the stage while the guy's performing, and there's a 13-year-old sitting on her dad's lap, and they're all just sitting there talking and eating. And
during the show, yeah, like
the bar staff's
no
talking, and the waitresses are clanging and clapping dishes and throwing silverware in buckets, and I'm like, do you guys know what a open mic is?
Yeah.
And it was really weird, and I kind of got humbled. Again, here's me walking in going, I'll fucking own this scene in a second, man.
Right.
And I remember this guy going, and he's a good friend of mine today, going, oh, you think you're so good with your fancy fucking LA shirts? Why don't you show us how it's done? And I was like, oh, fuck, man.
Wow.
And then, so again, the scene here is kind of, so we started this thing where it's not a set place.
Yep.
So it's just different places. But again, for the last 2 years, it's been nothing. It's kind of like,
right.
It's like Bananas, where Bananas Comedy Club isn't Bananas Comedy Club. If
No,
you go
it's
there
in
on
a
Tuesday,
hotel.
it's the fucking Holiday Inn.
Right. It's
And on
it's the
Thursday, he rolls his
conference room.
van in, unpacks the banana, and hangs the fucking sign. It's one of the most famous comedy clubs in the fucking country.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, Rob Steen up in New Hampshire, Headliners Comedy Club in Manchester, New Hampshire, is in the fucking DoubleTree. It's
Right.
in the bar of the DoubleTree. Every week he puts up his curtain and his Headliners banner, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
But
listen, when it opens up, I seriously, I'd love to come out and hang out there for a week and
Well, again,
and
you
do
know what?
some shows,
You come out anytime, bro. It's like I have a house. I have plenty of room, man. I got plenty of
You
fucking
got AC.
Is the
evidently.
AC running?
Yeah, the
Oh,
AC's on.
Hold on, let me get my scarf and mittens. It's cold.
You dick.
But you know what? It's like so Bowden came out a few years ago with
Yeah.
Craig Gass. Brian Bowden came out. Ben Hagesman and Danny Kelly was just here hanging out.
Oh, really?
Danny Kelly and his wife, Danny.
Yeah.
Yep.
Danny Kelly was here. I think last July was here hanging out. Again,
Yep.
Gas 6 years now. Gas and I have
Every
been
year
doing a
comes
show
out.
every Valentine's.
Well, and what time of year does Doug Stanhope come out? Because
He doesn't come out. I know Doug from years ago that's right. Remember we called you that.
Yes, you did. We've told the story on the podcast multiple times about how I get this my phone starts ringing at 2 a.m. and I don't
That's only
answer
11
it.
p.m. California.
Yeah, exactly. I know. But my phone starts ringing and I don't answer it. And I'm like, Eric Hofer, why the fuck is Eric Hofer calling me at 2 a.m.? I got to work in the morning. And then the next morning I look and there's not only a voicemail, but there's a video call
Yep.
from Eric and Doug Stanhope. And Doug is like, I mean, it's a fucking hilarious message.
So Doug told me. So again, I hadn't seen him for years. But have you ever been to the Comedy Store in L.A.?
No, I've never gotten to be out in LA.
Again, if you go to the Comedy Store in LA, there's the 3 rooms. And then if you cut through the kitchen and go down the stairs, there's the comics bar.
Okay.
And it's where all the comics have. I mean, you can walk in there on any random night and Ron White, Doug Stanhope, and, name the comic, or Eddie Griffin are sitting at the fucking bar drinking.
Right.
And everybody's smoking weed and doing other stuff.
It's just a hangout, right?
It's where
For
the
comics.
it's the comics bar.
Right.
So literally, again, I knew those guys. So I was down there and I saw Stanhope and I'm like, Doug, fuck, man, I haven't seen you in forever, man. And we started talking and he hadn't played Rhode Island a lot of times, Doug Stanhope.
Right.
And he started saying to me, I just remember this one guy, Ace Aceto.
That's
where he was like, I remember this guy, Ace, and Doug likes to party, man. Doug's I remember this guy from Rhode Island, Ace Aceto.
Well,
and that's why we called you, man.
The funny thing was, I had met him years ago. I mean, when Periwinkle's was still open, I remember him coming in to Periwinkle's one night, late at night, and he was like looking to try and get a spot. I don't even know what he was doing there. I think he said,
was he Doug Stanhope at the time, or was he
No.
just a comic?
No, he was just some comic from Arizona. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, his family is from like New Bedford or Fall River.
Yeah.
And he had brothers that owned like a diner out in Fall River or New Bedford. And he must have been out. But I'm talking, when I'm saying, I'm literally talking 91, 92.
Yeah, years
He
ago.
showed up and he introduced himself. And I had never heard of him. He had never been on TV or anything like that. And he gave me his card, and I
He's
still
never
have
been
it.
on TV.
I still no, he was on the Man Show.
No, I know.
But I still have the fucking business card that he gave me. And then years later, he was at the Connection, and I got to open for him. And that's when you guys called, and he was like, "Eric's here. He said he opened for me," but I said, "No. There's a guy out in Rhode Island, AA. I remember his name. A Cicito. That's it." And I said, that guy blew the doors off the place. He did it awesome. And I remember A Cicito. That's it. And I'm a little drunk right now, but I love you. And Eric is a good looking silver fox, is what he said on the message.
Yes.
Ace
has played the message.
I played the message a couple of times. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, really?
And
You still have it?
I still have it. I saved the video of you two sending me the message.
That's like,
But,
I think I sent one to, in fact, you remember Bill Burr? I mean, remember John?
Yeah, of
Remember
course.
doing Wright's Chicken Farm with Bill Burr as the
Yep.
host?
Old McDonald's Chicken Farm.
And I used to,
Old
yeah,
McDonald's chicken.
Old
Down in
McDonald's
Somerset.
Chicken Farm. I saw Burr. I see Burr a lot. I used to see him a lot out in L.A. And
Yeah.
I sent John the same thing, Parada,
Yep.
of Burr.
Of Burr.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I've reached out to Doug to be on the podcast a couple of times, and he's been awesome. Like, I reached out to him one day, and he goes, "Okay, you ready to go now?" And it's like Monday at 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm still at my day job, and I'm just messaging you. I go, no, we record on Wednesday nights, blah blah blah. And he's like, "Well, I don't really book anything ahead of time, but keep trying me. And I haven't tried him in a little while, but I did send him when I sent them the email, I sent them the video just so he would remember that. Oh yeah, I know who this guy is. Yeah. It's just not some random guy fucking reaching out to me. But so listen, man, I'm so glad we got to get you on, and it, as much as you made it sound like we waited 3-5 years to get you on.
I worked on that bit for a whole fucking week, man.
Yeah.
I literally worked on that bit for a week.
Dude, seriously, we've wanted you on for a long time because I know how honest you are and how forthcoming you are with owning up to mistakes and stuff like that. I know there's a lot of people that wanted to know the true story of what happened, and I appreciate the fact that you were willing to come on and like, I remember sending you the message and going, "Hey, we won't ask you about your personal life, but we'd like to know what happened with the club." And you were like, "Dude, whatever you want to ask is fine."
And not just that, you've had a very long career, and you've met and worked with a lot of great comedians, so we knew you'd have a lot of great stories to tell. So
exactly.
The combination of the two, plus we both have personal experience with you,
right?
Well, you know what?
So we wanted to have you on from a friend standpoint.
I'm one of those guys. Again, I've been fucking down and out so many times. Again, I know you guys are married with kids, and I'm one of those.
Well,
I've been down.
So
and
we
out so
we
many
know we are already down and out.
Listen,
no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that.
I'm divorced with kids.
I know. You know what? I was really surprised when I found that out years back that you got divorced.
Well,
man.
so was I. But
I was surprised, man.
Well put, my friend.
When she says she doesn't want to be married to you anymore, you just go with it.
That kind of leads to divorce.
Yeah,
I hate when they do that, man. But it's like I'm like one of those guys, and again, my life just. I've always just rode it's not a fucking Hawaii reference. I've always rode the wave of life, man. Like I have. Yeah, I just always went where life took me. And it's like, and you flirt with, my biggest thing is I found happiness. Like I've had some great fucking women love me, man. I'll be honest with you. I've had some really fucking good women love me. Like the best of women love me, like the salt of the earth, not a bad. And that was just never fucking enough for me, man. I always fucked it up. I always found a way to fuck it up. It's just, that's the story of my life, man. You know, it's like comedy. It's like I flirted with success and it's there and then it's fucking gone. And then it's there and then it's gone. And well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And so I never let life get me down like that, man. I always bounce back.
Again, you bounce back because you own up to your mistakes.
I was just going to say, because you accept it.
And listen, I didn't
own
know
it and move on.
I think I may have met your first wife once.
Marilyn, you've met her. We had a party for Eddie's going away party when he went on vacation for 5 years. You were at my house, my first wife, Marilyn.
I do remember her.
You were there.
I don't remember
with Jen. You were there with Jen.
With my ex?
Yeah.
I don't remember your second wife, but I do remember your third, and I loved her.
Well, it was only she was a lot younger. It was only 6 months, so.
Oh, okay.
She was a lot younger than me.
Yeah, but I do remember your third, and I loved her, and I thought she was a sweetheart. And you're right. You know, you've been loved by some amazing women, and
sure.
But again, what I love about you, Eric, is that you own up to your mistakes. You admit them. Like, you did not come on here to deny anything that happened. You fully.
Nah, you're an open book.
You're an open book. Exactly.
You're an open book.
Is that good or bad?
No.
I'm kidding.
You
Remember
know,
the Burger King guy?
I mean, you may not be Burger King material, but you're a good guy.
Well, you know,
if we knew you weren't Burger King material, maybe we would have scheduled somebody different. But no, not bad.
Right.
No, but you've always been forthcoming, and the fact that you were willing to share any of the stories without shying away from anything. Just says a lot about your character. You own up to your mistakes, and you own up to the fact that, you fall into traps every once in a while.
As I like to say, 100%.
Yes, 100%.
100.
And
Scott likes to do that.
It's funny because I really appreciate being on. I love reminiscing about the old days. I've been listening to your podcast. Only since you booked me have I decided to pay attention.
We get that a lot.
We appreciate
it.
Keep listening.
But no, and it's funny just to listen to someone, and I scroll through them, and I just, you hear these names.
Oh, I know that person.
You hear these random names and stories, and it's like, fuck yeah, I remember that. And I was like, I think Ed Regine a few weeks ago was talking about Gulman, and I'm like, fuck, I remember the Gulman story. Oh, I remember when he was dogging me on stage. The next night I go, remember he looked like Joe Millionaire? You probably don't remember.
I remember that.
I'm like, how about fucking Joe Millionaire? Real original material, Gary.
Yeah.
And then, of course, so I wanted to tell you. So remember someone talked about this, last, I think it was Ed Regine, Last Comic Standing, the first episode where Gulman was already selected.
Yeah.
Yes.
Barry Katz was his
because
manager.
Barry Katz was managing him, and he was the executive producer of the show.
Exactly. So me and Galvin go to fucking New York. Madison Square Garden was where they're holding auditions. Me and Galvin go to New York. It's outside. It's 9 degrees. It's January. Me and Galvin wait all day to get in. All day we wait out in the cold. So about 2:00 in the afternoon, Eddie goes, let's go smoke a joint. And we go around the corner. Eddie lights up the joint. I'm not fucking kidding. What was it, like 1998 maybe?
Yeah, probably.
The NYPD graduating class of 98 is channeling out of Madison Square Garden while Eddie's got the joint in his mouth. So anyways,
was that before or after Eddie's vacation?
It was way after, man. So we finally get in. And I remember Barry Katz was there. He was fucking there.
Right.
So we get up, and there's just hundreds and hundreds of people, man. So Eddie goes in and he's crushing, right? I mean, Eddie does good.
Yeah.
Eddie does good. And I'm like, well, if Eddie's doing good, I'm definitely going to fucking do good. And I'll never forget walking in there. And I go, yeah, again, my ego, like, fuck, Galvin's crushing. I know I can crush Galvin. Remember, you used to be afraid to follow Eddie Galvin? Remember?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember walking in going,
Oven mitt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit,
motherfucker.
But I remember I walked in, and you got 3 minutes, I think. And I walked in and I go, I start doing some jokes. I get some laughs. And like a minute into, I go, yeah, my father's a doctor. They took his license away from him, caught him having sex with his patients again. He's a veterinarian. Next.
Oh, really?
Fucking never forget the guy going, next. And I'm like, what are you kidding me? So like literally my bones are still frozen. And I was like, fuck. But I remember that first season. That was like my audition.
Wow.
So they weren't appreciative of animal sex jokes.
Animal sex, yeah, bestiality didn't go.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, we talked about it when Frank Santarelli was on. Frank Santarelli had the best line. He didn't get past, and he literally looks at the camera and he goes, "This show is fucking bullshit." And he walks away. Well, and he goes, "Well, because they asked me." He goes, I had a great set." He goes, "But then they did the interview and they asked me, so what do you think this show's going to do for you?" And he goes, "Nothing. I'm on The Sopranos. This is the 20th best thing that's happened to me this year."
I heard that. I heard Frank say that, man.
Well, I love Frank.
You mentioned Stephanie, who's been one of my best friends in comedy too, and she told a great story. She auditioned for Last Comic Standing, and Ant. Remember him from season 1 or 2? He was one of the judges, and she goes out and starts her set, and he goes, "Oh, Stephanie, don't tell me you're gonna do fat jokes." And she goes, "What? Like you do gay jokes?"
Right, exactly.
And he goes, "What is that supposed to mean?" She goes, "You're a fag. You know what it means." And they go, next.
Right, back when you could use the word fag, right? So did you guys see last year or the year before on AGT, the girl that ate the sandwich out of her boobs?
Yes.
Did
Stephanie
you see that?
went nuts.
I just remember watching it going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right?
I know. That's a little weird.
Everybody in New England at the same time went, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, everyone gasped.
Everybody in New England did.
So there's bits and there's bits.
Right.
And, between you guys have been, Scott, you've been around 20 years, Ace 30, me 33, 5, whatever, 30. So, 80, 90 years collectively between us. Have you ever seen anyone else do that?
No one. And there's
no
fucking way you can tell me that lady didn't lift that. There's no way she came up with that. I'm sorry.
Right.
Stephanie's been doing that for 20 years.
Forever, man. You know how many fucking times I ate that sandwich? That's what I was saying. It's like, and there's comics that, everything's their bit. Right? Like, hey, you just said the. You just said the. That's mine. That's mine.
Yeah, I say the word of. Yeah, right.
You can't do a joke about being a fat kid on a school bus. That's mine.
No.
But I mean, that's a fucking legit. That was a legit gripe, man.
Absolutely.
Funny.
We got to get her back on.
That was way too close to the original.
So have you
say
seen
it was coincidence?
Have you seen the new AGT show, AGT Extreme?
No,
I've seen a couple of episodes, but not a lot.
So true story. And if you go to my Facebook and scroll probably to March of 2020 during the pandemic, a friend of mine and I made a video with a wood chipper where we had this huge giant table of all different food, and he made this high powered wood chipper and was feeding the food and spraying me with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I literally threw up because I didn't know he had sardines, but I threw up. Anyways, it's a really funny video. It got hundreds of thousands of views, but we sent it to AGT Extreme and they wanted us to be on the show.
Yeah.
They wanted us to come to Atlanta last September
to do it.
My friend had just opened up his restaurant at the golf course here. He couldn't go. We couldn't go. The show just premiered 2 weeks ago. They have someone doing a lame ass version of our bit.
Really?
Not fucking.
So they took the concept and gave it to someone
begged
else.
us. They literally begged us and said, "We'll pay you anything to come out. What do you need?" He couldn't go because, again, he had just opened a restaurant. Literally, it had been open a week. If you watch it, they stole the bit. So we're not done with it yet. We're kind of. But they stole the bit, and theirs is like pouring some Kool-Aid through like a lame ass wood chipper and spraying some kid in a wheelchair with Kool-Aid. Nothing against the wheelchair guy.
Yeah, but why do you need a wheelchair guy to do it?
That's what I said. So they did it for sympathy. Exactly.
It's for effect.
They stole the bit, man.
That's nuts.
When do we talk about the bad gigs part of the show?
That was next. That was the last question.
So let's talk about it now.
Last question? Really?
Yeah, that's the last question. Dude, we've been on for an hour and 40 minutes. This is one of our longest episodes.
Hold on.
Which is great.
Hold on. Corey G got an hour and 50. I listened to the whole fucking thing last night.
He's right.
man.
Corey G had
I'm kidding.
the longest episode.
He did have the longest episode. He had a
Well-
lot, but he had a lot of stories to tell too.
We only got 12 minutes left, so I can beat
All
the
right,
record. Let's
so
do
hurry
this.
the fuck up. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
What are we talking about?
Well, we're going to ask you for the
Funny
bad
bad
gig
gig.
story. And that was the gig that, like we always like to say, comedians love watching their friends struggle. And that is the gig that when you're in the green room in the back and someone is saying, hey, I had this shitty gig last week. You won't believe what happened to me. This is the gig that you say, oh,
Where you
yeah?
going?
You think your gig was bad? Listen to this one. And then you share this gig with them.
I'm only sharing one because I made a
Whatever
whole
you
list.
want. Whatever you
Well,
want, buddy.
I'll tell you, my first gig ever that I was going to middle at the Comedy Connection.
Listen, we know you. We know you have more than one bad gig.
You've been doing comedy. Like we,
The crowd
Like-
sucked.
I love
It
you.
was the
Hey,
crowd. It was a Tuesday.
Eric-
You should have
Eric-
came on a Saturday.
Eric, like we always say, if you've been in comedy longer than 6 months, you
You
have
got more than one.
You have a bad gig story. If you've been doing comedy as long as the three of us have, you have a few bad gig stories. So whatever you want to share.
No, one of my memorable bad gigs was, I think it was Dana. Dana was still the manager in '99 at Comedy Connection, right?
Yeah, that was
I
right
think
about
so.
the end of her reign.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
maybe it was '98. Anyways, I'm gonna get the middle spot. It's my first fucking time middling, like as a permanent middle. I'm moving on from host, and I loved hosting, man. I mean, I hosted for years.
Yeah.
I was the open mic host forever there. So I'm all set. I'm fucking ready. Again, Ace. My head's like this, man. This is it. Daddy's moving up in the comedy world, man.
Yeah.
Because to me, that was the mecca of fucking comedy, man.
Oh, absolutely.
It was my
anybody around
hometown.
here.
And even when I started, I'd invite people down and you'd get 3 minutes. And I remember they'd always go the next day, why'd you only do 3 minutes?
Right.
But anyway, so I'm going to middle. And I remember Dana came up to me right before and goes, we got a special guest, this guy named Craig Gass. He's on the Howard Stern show. He's going to do a quick 5-10 minutes.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay. And fucking Gass goes up and just destroys.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking destroys, man. I mean, fucking destroyed. And again, Craig's my friend. I don't know how that ever happened.
Right.
But I went up and it was like I was first at the Tonight Show Comedy Challenge again. It was so bad.
Yeah.
I was supposed to do 15. I did like 6 and walked off stage. And instead of Dana coming and hugging me, she came back reaming me the fuck out for going short, man.
Because you went short, right? She didn't give a shit that you were dying up there. She wanted you to fill the time.
It was all about the time.
That was all about the
15,
time,
yeah.
right?
So
Exactly.
instead of 15, I did 6. And I was just like, again, it was like going back in time 7 years. Like, fuck, man. So anyways, that was one of my most memorable ones. Another one was here when I said I got booked for those 30 gigs. I showed up and I'm like, wow, a lot of Asians in the crowd, huh? A lot of Asians. Anyways, so the lady's like, yeah, it's, a lot of tourists. So I go on stage and I'm doing my stuff and I got nothing except fucking 350 Asians staring at me, man. They were Chinese actually, but Asians is a funnier word.
Right.
And they're just fucking sitting there looking at me. And I just remember there was one guy in the front row. If you look at my Facebook, it's actually the picture, my profile picture. I brought one of the Asians on stage. They didn't speak English. Any of them. They
came to a comedy show.
No. They were in Honolulu.
Uh-huh.
And they had done everything through a travel agent. And one of the things was to go to a comedy show. And there was a guy that spoke barely English in the front row who told me that. And I'm like, nobody? And he's like, no, nobody.
Nobody. Oh
Nobody.
My God.
And if you look at my Facebook, there's a picture. I brought one up on stage.
Yep.
And I was doing like, rabbit ears to him and acting like a fucking fly and a dragon. And like I winged it through the 30 minutes, literally just winged it. And they started laughing.
Basically doing slapstick because
They
they
literally
understand that.
I got them to laugh when I brought one of them.
Right.
One of
It goes
them on
beyond
stage,
language. Right.
but they did not speak English.
Oh my God. Yeah, I could see that being a little bit of a challenge.
My other best gig ever was Comedy Connection with John Witherspoon.
Okay.
John Witherspoon.
John Witherspoon was the
Man.
headliner, and
Classic.
I was middling, and the host, I cannot remember who the host. I don't want to say it's Cal Verducci because he was way ahead of me, but it was someone that we know, and I can't think of who it was. But Debbie was like, "You guys got to go long. He's stuck in traffic." They had the soccer game at the stadium in Foxborough.
Yep.
And
And he was stuck in traffic.
And the host had only 10 minutes and was out of material. And Debbie was like, "You got to go long." I'm like, "How long?" She's like, "Just go up there. I don't know."
Right.
Fucking hour and a half.
Oof. Yeah.
Hour and a half. I had no material, man. I put it this way. It was so bad, I resorted to Galvin bits.
I was looking for a rubber glove to make it.
I was making fun of a lady with no shoes on, saying, "We wear shoes now."
Yeah, right. Yeah, doing the police card thing. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
right. 119.
Yeah, 119.
Right. Nos falamos des portugueso. And then all of a sudden, literally, guys, I mean, I had nothing. I was like, fucking, it was like an hour and 45 minutes. I was out. And all of a sudden, people were just, I was like, at one point, I was like, just talk amongst yourselves.
Right.
And all of a sudden, fucking Witherspoon's on the side of the stage.
And he was,
I didn't even introduce him. I handed him the mic and it's like, thank fucking God, man.
Yeah.
But
that happened to me once. Chris Zito and Tony V were coming from Boston, and I was hosting at the time. And there was this major fucking accident on 95 South, and they were stuck. And so before the show even started, we started the show 15 minutes late. Dana and Paul Barkley at the time were telling me, they were telling me like, all right, go up, do as much material as you can. We'll let you know when we get it off. And then they're like, hey, you know what we'll do? We'll say, hey, we've got modern technology. This was like cell phones were new. And so both comics had cell phones. So they had them call the club. And then they literally put the phone up. Remember in the booth, in the ticket booth, she had the microphone. They put the microphone up to the phone to try and
Zito told this
and
story.
have me interview them while they were on the road talking about it. You could barely hear them. So we had to abandon that whole fucking bit after like 5 minutes. And next thing you know, here I am a host, and I ended up doing 45 minutes by the time. And actually, Tony V came in before Zito did, and Zito was the feature. Tony V was the headliner. So Tony came in, did some material. Zito came in, did some material, but I ended up doing 45 minutes. And like you said, by the end, I'm like, you guys want to play a game? Let's do Simon Says. Like, I don't know what the fuck else to do. You know?
That was when Debbie had me open up for Santos at the late show Friday night at the Connection.
For Frank Santos?
Yeah, and he was coming from the Kowloon. He did the early show at the Kowloon, and he does the late show in Providence. And she goes, "Yeah, he's stuck in traffic, so I may need you to stretch." Yeah. She goes, "So do like 15 minutes, and then look towards the vault. And if I'm there telling you to stretch, just keep going." Well, I'm only a few years in at this point, so next thing you know, it's like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 40 minutes. I have zero material left. I'm talking to the crowd, trying to make something out of it. And then I see him come in the back door at the Connection. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Hey, everybody, you guys have been a fantastic audience.
Sleep. You know what's funny? I remember when Frank passed away, Bobby Collins was in town. And I remember Bobby's like, Bobby knew him. And he was like, let's go to Frank's wake. And, you know, Bobby Collins likes to smoke the good stuff. And I remember on the way over, he smoked like a big, huge joint. And I was smoking too. I never smoked pot, but I'm in the car with Bobby Collins, right? Yeah. And I remember we walked into the wake, and I just remember we smelled like fucking pot so bad, man. You know, and he's from California. He didn't bring the brown weed. There was no seeds in his weed at the time. You know? There was no sticks or stems in this weed. And I just remember I was sad. You know, I knew Frank. I knew his wife, man. I know the son. You guys know. And I was like, man, I fucking can't believe I'm standing here smelling like pot. And I remember going over to Frank and just looking at him like, fuck, man. Thanks, bro. You know, like, thanks,
Yeah.
bro. But
Yeah.
smelling like pot. That's my Bobby Collins pot story, man.
Right. Yeah. You almost wanted to touch Frank on the head and go, you're going to, when I touch your head, you're going to have the biggest high you've ever had. And then
Right.
you touch
I
his
never
head.
could get hypnotized by him. He tried a million times.
Yeah.
You know, I always
Yeah.
would participate in the shows to try. I could never get hypnotized.
He
you know?
tried a couple of times with me, and I told him afterwards, I was like, I don't know. It was weird. I did everything you said, but I remember everything. He goes, yeah, you weren't fully under, and I could tell you weren't fully under. That's why they didn't have you do a lot of stuff. But he used to set me up when he would do the stripper.
Were you under?
contest. No, I think I was under, but not totally. That's what he told me.
Sleep.
But it was
Sleep.
funny. But it was funny
Sleep.
how he would set me up every week with the when they would do the stripper contest. If it was a single girl and she was cute, he'd bring me up as the judge.
Right.
Yeah,
All the chicks. Yeah.
all the chicks. Yep.
Nice.
Well, listen, man, we really appreciate you coming
Awesome.
on. This
Hold
was
on.
so much fun.
I need 48 more seconds. I want an hour and 51. Gee got an hour and 50.
Yeah. All right.
Well, you
go
got
an
another
hour.
bad gig story?
Yeah. Right.
I got one
No,
more.
listen,
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
tell
go
one
ahead.
more.
Let's hear
Tell
another
one more.
John Parada used to book fucking Hooters in Warwick. Remember that one?
John Parada just popped on and said, "Great show, guys." And I said, "Johnny P." And we have talked about that Hooters gig because you would have to do the comedy.
It was an L shape
Yes.
Yeah, but you would have
Yes.
to do the comedy in the entryway.
In the doorway.
in front of the
So
grill.
People were walking behind you into the restaurant, going, "What the fuck is this guy doing?"
Yeah.
It's the
Telling
worst
jokes?
setup.
Yeah.
Worst setup.
It was the fuck. Remember, it was you were right in front of
It
the
was an
cash
L-shape.
register.
Yes.
But
yeah.
they had a camera that would shoot it to the TVs throughout the place.
Yeah.
But nobody gave a shit that
No,
you
no
were
one gave
doing
a
it.
shit.
No,
No, I know.
no. It was a horrible. Who was the? Is it Dave Wilson plays the keyboards? The guy from Boston. We used to wear the cowboy hat. Dave. He's a Boston guy.
I don't remember.
I don't
Parada
remember.
will
I
tell
know.
you.
No, I know who you mean. I just don't remember his name.
Yeah.
Dave Wilson. Anyways, so Dave, and I should know because Dave got me some gigs throughout my life, but he's playing. He's got his cowboy hat on. This drunk guy stumbles up, grabs his hat, and runs out the door.
Was it not Dave Andrews?
Dave Andrews.
Dave Andrews.
Oh, it was Dave
Because
It was
Andrews?
Dave
Parada-
Andrews.
Dave played the
someone-
guitar.
Yeah, but someone told
Guitar.
this story about the guy, a drunk guy grabbing Dave Andrews' hat and
But
running
Dave,
out.
yeah, Dave would play the guitar.
Played guitar,
maybe
not
still does.
keyboards.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he grabs Dave, and of course I'm following Dave. John, thank
Yeah.
you. Great spot at Hooters. And he grabs his hat and runs out the door, and everyone thinks it's part of the show. And you
Right.
can literally just see the fucking guy running down Post Road. He's just running. The guy beelines with Dave Andrews' hat. And I'm like,
I
okay,
did
well,
hear this story. Yeah.
this is way back, guys. This is probably middle fucking 90s, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because
So
I remember playing Hooters.
Yeah, remember that? And I go on, and I'm literally on stage. This is no fucking joke. I got my friends. I had a friend, Joe Parry, who was this big, giant fucking musclehead that used to just love coming to comedy shows. And he's there with me. And these two guys got in a fist fight in front of me while I'm on stage. They're fist fighting.
In the
They're
middle of
literally
Hooters.
fist fighting in
Right.
Hooters over one of the waitresses. So
God.
again, I'm refereeing it like I'm a fucking announcer at a boxing match. And they literally stopped and they like joined forces to beat me up because I was making fun of them on the microphone. I'm not fucking kidding. So
Oh
now
my
my
God.
friend, they like
That's a
stopped
good
and goes,
story.
"What the fuck's you?" They go, "What's your fucking problem, dude?" And I remember Joe Parry, this big muscular guy, my friend, got up, and now he's in a fist fight with fucking both of them. And I'm like, well, you've been a great crowd. Back to your host, John Parada.
That's my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
I hope you enjoy Joe the Clam Man next.
Oh, shit. Is he still around? I saw a picture recently of him. Is he around?
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
May I have your attention? Attention.
Play.
Is he still around?
Oh, yeah.
I
He's
haven't
got to
worked-
have a new clam, man.
I haven't.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
I haven't worked with him in a while. I love Joe. He's such a great guy, but yes, he hasn't. And listen,
I love how
I know
you
you bust
qualify
his
that.
balls.
He's
but-
the nicest guy.
But listen,
Absolutely.
He is
that
a nice
guy-
guy, man.
That guy used to fucking crush at Periwinkles
Sure.
every week. Every week.
How drunk was that crowd?
No, it was just
No, he was
it
good.
was a
You know what,
long
Ace?
time ago.
He loved my first wife. He
Oh,
fucking
really?
loved my first wife. Her and Joe, because they're both Portuguese. Joe
No,
Cabral, Marilyn Cabral.
well,
they have the
listen,
same fucking last name.
Listen. I loved your third wife. I'll admit.
No,
it.
I know.
I loved
did
your
too.
third wife.
Joe Cabral was never anything but nice
Awesome guy.
to everybody. I've never seen him with a mean bone in his body to
No.
anybody.
Absolutely.
But it's like
The
Dude.
clam. Does he still do that?
I haven't seen him in a.
He's
few
got to be
years,
70
but
years old by now, no?
I don't know how.
yeah,
old
but they
Joe
still make
is.
squirt guns, so that clam suit still works.
Sweet Jesus. Remember that? Scott, you remember that?
Oh, very well, too well.
Scott, stop being a.
Good, Scott,
dick.
you started in like 2002 or 3, right?
I started in 2002.
And I remember you worked at a Lexus dealer. That's how we bonded. You worked
Yes.
for a car dealership.
Yep, I worked at a Lexus dealer as the I started
Northborough, right?
I started as a service advisor and worked my way up to service manager.
Was it Lexus Northborough?
Actually, Herb Chambers Lexus. in,
Herb Chambers Lexus.
Sharon. Yep.
Well, I got the record this time, guys.
Yes, you do.
You just
Yes, you
won
do.
because we're at an hour and 55 and 38 seconds. So
See,
yes.
once again, my head's this big. I win again.
The problem
anyone-
is, it's pretty sad that your head is big over the fact that you're the longest guest we've had.
Hey,
so
well,
but that's
you know,
I've
all
been
right.
watching. Like I said, guys, I've been
5,000
watching all your podcasts.
5,000 people will appreciate his 2 hours.
Is that what our listenership is?
Exactly
5,000 people a
about
week.
that. Yeah,
Really?
5,000 a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Send-
not bad for two unknowns.
No shit. Right. Well, no, I've been listening to I've been listening to a lot of your podcasts, and
Thanks,
they're usually an hour 10.
Yeah.
Loletta's was like 33,
Yeah.
an hour 33.
Yeah.
And,
That was a few years ago, though.
No. I'm saying, but then when Corey went an hour 50, I'm like, fuck, this is gonna be great, man. I have
No,
nothing.
listen,
I
we-
can stay for another hour if you guys want.
We're kind of free. Yeah, well, because it's fucking 3:00 in the afternoon where you are. It's fucking
4:26.
10:30 at night where we are. Yeah,
4:30.
Yeah, 4:30. You're just getting ready for dinner, and we're fucking.
He's going to go out and do
winding down
dinner spots,
a spot.
everything
Yeah,
else.
Exactly.
I'm
No,
gonna go to
listen,
the
man,
pool bar, man.
We'll definitely we'll have you back on. We'll have you back.
Oh,
on to
yeah,
talk,
absolutely.
Especially,
This was fantastic.
especially listen, if you start doing comedy and you start getting people out there, and you want to have them on, let us know. You know,
Yeah.
if you get any visitors out there, like if Gas wants to come on or Stanhope, if you can.
Gas
nail
will
him
come on,
down.
man. Craig
Yeah,
will
I'd
come
love
on
to
the
have
show.
Craig
Do you know
on.
Craig?
I worked with Craig when we did the Station nightclub.
The benefit.
fundraiser.
Yeah.
That was the first time I met him and knew him. And then I know he does a lot with Bowden and stuff like that. Like him and Bowden
Yeah.
are actually doing a podcast on the channel that we're on Twitch.
Oh yeah.
But I've never reached out to ask him if he would be on. I'd love to.
He'll
get
do it,
him
man.
on.
He does
I'd
anything.
love to get
Craig's great, man.
I'd love to get Don Jameson on. Another guy that's hilarious and funny, and who I met at that fundraiser. So, but
Yeah.
but we'd love to get you back on, man.
Absolutely.
And as things open up, I'm dead serious. I would love to take a week off and come out there and just hang out. So
Ace, I have a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house.
Yeah,
plenty of room.
absolutely.
Again,
Are we thinking of Behind the Funny Live in Hawaii?
That would
no,
be
my
a great
friend.
thing.
I just had a friend and his wife here.
Yep.
I have plenty of room. Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love to
we'll
have you
book a
guys
couple
come out
of-
here,
we'll-
man.
Yeah, we'll do a couple of shows out there at some pizza
Yeah.
places.
The only thing is,
I don't care.
Yeah,
Ace, I just got to tell you this.
no school fall.
Nobody knows who Salty
Go.
fucking Brian is.
I know. See,
They've
did you
never
see
had
I-
no
I knew
school
what he was
here.
going to say.
They've never had no school here.
That's all right. That's all right. I have other material I could do.
Well, that's okay. I still do my Tyson bit, so you know.
Do you? Yeah.
That's
Do you-
of course.
Are you still?
Who's giving up that bit?
Are you still doing the?
Tyson is kind of nationally known.
Yeah.
Salty Brian was not.
No,
Okay.
but are you
My-
still doing? Are you still doing the bit about the your dad being so cheap he fucking molds the soap back?
Yes.
No, fuck.
Oh, you haven't done that? That was your
that.
signature
Soap
bit.
Yeah,
You're
all,
gonna be writing it down.
all the different balls of soap together.
No, you know what? I have not.
That's a good
No.
joke, buddy. That's a good
That was
one.
a classic.
No, but I've you know, it's funny during lockdown. You know, you go in these spurts where you're right, then you don't. You're right, then you don't. You're right, then you don't. And then it's been so long where you just go like, "Fuck, these people haven't seen a show in a year. I got to make sure I go out and do it, and just do something I know is going to kill." You know, so it's like when
Right,
Gas was here in February for Valentine's. That show is always huge, and it's at the biggest place you can do a show besides the theater here. And it's like, you do all the shit that you always do. And I forgot the soap bit. Fuck.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Like that
Anything
one.
else?
No, that's all I remember,
Yeah,
man.
can you repeat his act back
Yeah,
to him?
right.
So-
No, that joke originated from my first wife, the Portuguese girl,
Yep.
who
It was
was
actually
cheap,
her
and I
dad.
involved it to my father after we split up because I didn't want to even remember her
Talk
doing a
about
show.
her.
Yeah,
And I remember one of the jokes was, she's so cheap that at our house you have to have a rum and cola. Which is one of like the first fucking jokes I ever wrote.
That
for
you ever
the,
wrote? That's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, man. But it was great, guys. I love it.
Well,
man.
listen, man, we loved having you on.
Yeah, Eric,
anytime
it was
you want,
phenomenal.
anytime you want to come back on, and we will. We'll.
How about tomorrow?
Once things open up, let us know. We'll plan something. I'd love to come out to Hawaii for a week, and the two of us do some podcasting and some shows. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So-
Do them on my patio. You do them in my bedroom.
All right, that's a little creepy. But
yeah,
all right.
Yeah. We crossed
Yeah,
the
Jay,
creek
we
factor
hit-
there.
2 hours. Hold on, 7 seconds. 2 hours and 1 minute.
Yeah, I got 2 hours and 58, 59, 1 minute. There you go.
Sorry, Corey.
threshold.
Sorry, Corey.
You crossed the threshold.
Corey Gee,
Crossed the
sorry.
threshold. You're the man. No,
I
listen,
love you
man.
guys. It was
Thanks
great
a
seeing
lot.
you guys.
Love you,
Yeah,
Great
you too,
talking to
man.
you guys, man.
Awesome.
love you too. Is there anything we could promote for you? Do you have a website, or the club have a website or anything like that?
I do. No, I mean, my Facebook. I mean, any shows we do. Again, it's Maui. It's small. There's 150,000 people that live here.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was
It's only 150,000 people, man.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Full time.
All right.
I'll put your Facebook page on the show notes so that people can click on there, and I don't know where the hell that came from.
Me
but,
neither.
but
Yeah,
people
there's
can-
there's a lot of tourists and the flight attendants rotate. So, it's a good time, man. So if you want to
yeah, exactly.
let any flight attendants know if they want to do a trip to Maui, I'm available. They can give me a buzz.
And
Awesome.
you have plenty of room with extra bathrooms.
I'll be at the pool bar. Maui
Yes,
Coast Pool
perfect.
Bar if they're looking for me. Yeah.
All right, man.
Good stuff, guys.
Thanks so much for being on. We really appreciate it, man. And
Yeah. Are we supposed to wait till you log off and I talk to you on the side, or it's over at this point?
if you want, I mean, if you've got better to do, if you got a couple of minutes to wait for the pool bar,
I do, but I'll just tell you on air since no one knows.
Yeah.
If you ever cook fish, burn sugar in your oven. It takes the fish smell away.
Oh, good idea. Yeah, because
Wow.
you know that I did a fish recipe.
Your house
last
smelled like
night.
scallops last night.
It
I
did
heard all
smell
about
like
it.
scallops. Yeah,
Everyone knows that. I heard
Yes.
all about it.
I know. It smelled like scallops a little bit.
So,
I burned a candle,
a
but that's a
great-
good idea.
a great
Scallops.
interview and a tip as well.
How
A
awesome is
cooking
that?
tip as
Just
well.
the tip. I give just the tip, guys.
Just the tip.
That's
Hey,
all. Just
I'm
for a
here
second.
all week. Try the veal.
Awesome
Perfect.
time, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Eric. Have a good one, man.
Mahalo, guys.
Later. And that's Eric Hofer, folks.
I'm-
That was awesome. I love every time I talked to him this week, he ended it with mahalo.
I'm glad to see his energy levels come down a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know. Listen, I knew this was going to be a long episode, but it was a great one. He had a lot of great stories.
No,
Can't deny that.
he's a good guy. He was very candid.
I love the fact that, like, how many times do you hear people say, I'll come on, but I won't talk about this. I don't want to talk about that.
He owned
Eric
up.
was like, I will talk about whatever you guys
he
want.
owned up to anything and everything.
Yeah.
Mistakes he made, successes he's had, anything and everything.
Yep. And listen, I meant it when I said it. I loved his third wife. I'm not going to mention her name. I loved her.
I know who you
She
mean
was
too.
an
Sweetheart.
absolute sweetheart. And you could tell when we were talking to him that, he obviously feels bad about that,
It's
what happened.
Yeah, no. He definitely not just takes responsibility. He knows the effects that he had on people, negative, or positive.
Right? Exactly.
And he accepts that responsibility. And you could tell he still respects his wives.
Yeah.
That he had. So
not so much the first one, you could tell. But,
which is okay.
Yeah, which is fine.
Which is fine. He's a good guy. He did a lot for a lot of people. In the short time he had the Comedy Connection, I mean, I had some of my best gigs. I mean, I don't know how many times I've mentioned Panette.
Yep.
And I would have never had the opportunity to work with John Panette,
right,
if it wasn't for Eric Hofer. So,
yeah.
I can't thank him enough for that.
No, he was awesome when he took over the club. I mean, he used to call me all the time and be like, Ace, I want to get you here. Give me 5 weekends this year.
Yeah.
So I can't complain either.
No. He definitely, and he treated comedians well when they worked at his club.
I'm dead serious. Before the pandemic, he was reaching out to me. I would absolutely love to fucking book a trip to Hawaii where we stay over at his house, do some podcasts out there. I think we
need to plan this.
And
I'm dead serious.
I'm dead serious.
Dead serious. I think.
And the fact that he said it's 82 all year round, we could go whenever the fuck we want.
Exactly.
I ain't going in the summer. I could tell you that. We're going next February or January.
Exactly. The colder the better.
Coldest fucking month of the year. We're going out
the
there.
Better.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy watching us when we record live, because we have fun bringing this to you guys like this. If you're listening and you want to watch us live every Wednesday night, 8:30, join us on Facebook at Behind the Funny, or as Ace was saying, Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling on twitch.tv is the channel that we're on, where you can watch us record live. And of course, if you're listening, don't forget to subscribe, tell a friend, and of course the 5-star review and a quick sentence.
Huge help.
Is just, you can't imagine.
We had one a couple of weeks ago and it literally jumped our ratings in the Apple podcast. So
those ratings mean the world.
Yeah.
And I just want to quick shout out an very old friend of mine. I haven't talked to this guy in 10 years. He lives in Tampa, Florida now. Damien and his wife, or wife to be, Debbie, and we connected via the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He reached out to me, and they listened to the podcast, and he emailed and reached out, and I loved this guy. We used to work together and hang out and everything, and great guy. That's awesome. Damien and Debbie, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you guys are doing well down there in Tampa. Damien likes to take claim for the fact that Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, because he moved down there. He moved down there 3 months before Tom Brady accepted the position.
So he scoped it out for Tom.
So he's the one that did all the scouting for Tom.
Well, Damien, if you can give us a 5-star written review and get your buddy Tom Brady to give us one, that would be fucking huge.
If you get Tom Brady to come on the podcast, I will blow you, Damien.
I'll talk funny about with Tom Brady. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But Damien, Debbie, hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in, and everyone else, we appreciate it.
Thank you, and we will see you
next week.